Working out, and then, of course, as they took the field to go through their paces, they realized that they would have to face game number 3 without the likes of Mike Piazza in the starting lineup. They'll have to win it without their star catcher, Ray Ordonez, in the cage. But the Mets say they are confident and they are excited to be here.
The last 2 weeks have felt like playoff games every game, but I am excited. I'm excited a lot for the city because I think the Met fans are really excited about it, and we as players are, because this is a stepping stone for us to get to the World Series, and that's ultimately where we want to be.
The last day was unbelievable, the way the fans, kicked in and kept us energized. I mean, I know the New York fans are supposed to be the best, so they're going to be out there and ready to go, and hopefully they can put a little bit of intimidation and fear into the other team and keep us energized like they did the last series.
I'm looking for that first pitch. I'm looking to see our fans enjoying the atmosphere, and I'm sure they will.
It's been a long time coming. I mean, you're talking about 11 years, and to have the fans come back after this long stretch is going to be fun. And we've felt it the last couple of days here in the season, how they kind of got us going, but it's going to be totally different with the playoff atmosphere.
I think we're pretty fired up, and we got a taste of that this Sunday game against the Pirates. Just the way the fans were really into it every pitch, and I believe it's only going to raise up of probably another 5 levels, decimals, when we get out there Friday night.
And I'm joined now by Mets General Manager Steve Phillips. Well, we certainly didn't expect to walk on the field, look up at the scoreboard, and see batting 7th, number 7, Todd Pratt. A big surprise to all of us.
Well, it is, and Mike has the injury. He's been really playing with it for about the last 10 days or so, and he had an injection in there to try to settle things down. Unfortunately, we can't get the inflammation out right now, so we're hopeful to get Mike back tomorrow, and we were confident Todd Pratt's going to do the job tonight.
Well, not to get too medical, because neither of us are doctors, but it did strike me a bit reaction to the cortisone shot, and that is extremely rare, so it brings up the question, was that the proper course of treatment?
Well, I think Mike's comments yesterday to the training staff or after the series in Arizona was that he couldn't hold the bat swinging, so they thought they're kind of cupped you in a rock in a hard place and thought the injection might do him some good. So right now they're trying like heck to get that inflammation out of there, and we're confident we'll have Mike back tomorrow.
So you do think he'll be in action tomorrow?
We're pretty confident he will be, yes.
Well, Steve, what does this do to the club? It's not as if Pedro Martinez goes down. You saw how that affected Boston. How do you think this will affect the Mets?
Well, I don't think it'll affect us as much as it might give the Diamondbacks a little bit of a boost, knowing Mike's not in the lineup. We've played very well with Todd Pratt in the lineup all year. He catches and throws extremely well, and he gives us a spark at times behind the plate. So we're a little bit lesser, but Tank's going to give us his best effort, no question about it.
Can you give us a sense from your organization standpoint what this means to the franchise to have a home playoff game for the first time in so long?
Well, it means everything for us. I mean, I think that we've started to gain some credibility back again, and I think this really takes us to that next level of credibility, both from the ownership perspective and the rest of the organization. So we're proud of this team to get us there. We're proud of our fans to be out here today, and it's going to be a great and exciting weekend.
Thanks, Steve Phillips. Appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Right. Now, let's shift gears and talk about the Yankees for a second, because their general manager and staff went out and got themselves Roger Clemens, and he's the man.
Obviously everybody will pick up their slack, and with Todd Pratt behind home plate, he's a heck of a catcher. I've had some of my best games with him behind there. As a matter of fact, my most dominant game this year with 15 strikeouts in 7 innings in Chicago. So he's going to do a great job back there, and who knows, maybe this is something that just get everybody thinking that, we don't have the big guy in there, and everybody pull up their load.
You're on tomorrow. Rick's on tonight. The electricity in Shea Stadium should be off the hook.
Absolutely, and we hope it is, because I think the home field advantage in Arizona was pretty loud, and they got behind it, especially yesterday with the Diamondbacks on Wednesday. So we're feeling it. And I know that these fans, they want it. They're frustrated, they're happy, and all the emotions, and hopefully they'll get on the Diamondbacks enough to rattle them a little bit.
With or without Mike Piazza in the lineup, these fans are pumped up for their first playoff game in 11 years. Let's go back to Len as the starting lineups are being introduced. Len?
Well, that latest roar was for Roger Cedeno. This roar is for Masato Yoshii. Al Leiter introduced to the crowd behind me. Pat Mahomes.
Outfielder Bobby Bonilla. Number 26, pitcher Billy Taylor. Number 27, pitcher Dennis Cook. Number 28, pitcher Bobby Jones. Number 29, pitcher Octavio Dotel. Number 31, catcher Mike Piazza. Number 33.
And of course, one of the biggest roars from Mike Piazza. You see his left thumb. It is immobilized with what appears to be that soft cast. And as you heard Steve Phillips tell me a few moments ago, they hope and they are optimistic that Piazza can take the field tomorrow in game number 4. All right, John Franco just introduced. We'll take a break. We have a lot more coming up from Shea Stadium on Glory Days. We'll be back, everybody, in just a moment. And welcome back to Shea Stadium. The Mets hope to do what the Yankees did last night. Let's go to Bruce Beck in Texas for a wrap-up of the Yankees' big win at the stadium last night.
Len, how do you explain the Texas Rangers?
See America via satellite.
Tonight, Providence, Dateline, and Cold Feet will not be seen, but will return after baseball. Now, the National League Division Series on NBC.
It can come from out of nowhere, hit you when you're safe and warm. Take it easy, my star, your time is gonna come, your time is gonna come.
The time for Edgardo Alfonso was Game 1. He launched himself into the spotlight by launching a game-winning grand slam. Game 2 belonged to the Diamondbacks. Todd Stottlemyre's pitching performance, coupled with Steve Finley's 5 RBIs, has Arizona even in the series and in a positive state of mind. Whose star will be the next to shine in this series as the pressure mounts? And as the Mets and Diamondbacks point themselves toward baseball's ultimate prize. Game 3, next.
This is the Sun America NBC pregame show. The 1999 National League Division Series. Tonight, it's Game 3. The Arizona Diamondbacks versus the New York Mets.
A cool but pleasant night in Queens, 60 degrees as Game 3 approaches, and as fans arrive at Shea for the first postseason action in this ballpark in 11 years, the first since the 1988 LCS between their Mets and the Los Angeles Dodgers. The series, of course, even at a game apiece. New York will go with veteran right-hander Rick Reed. He was 11-5 this year. Arizona counters with left-hander Omar Dahl, who won 16 while losing 9. Welcome to Shea Stadium, everybody. With Joe Morgan, I'm Bob Costas. First item of business, Mike Piazza will not start tonight for the Mets and likely is unavailable even as a pinch hitter. The troublesome left thumb, which has been bothering him for some time now, has finally forced him to the sidelines. Moments ago, our Jim Gray spoke with Piazza.
All right, thank you very much, Bob. I'm now joined by Mike Piazza. He went to the doctor yesterday, had an x-ray, negative on the x-ray. However, he was given a cortisone shot and his thumb is swollen up. What is the condition of your thumb exactly, Mike?
It's still pretty swollen right now, and just taking it hour by hour. I'm going to go in right now and just continue to ice it throughout the game, and hopefully it'll feel a lot better later on.
But you can't catch and you can't grip the bat, so officially tonight you probably won't play?
Really couldn't bend it, up until this point. So it's, obviously it's pretty serious right now, and I just hope that it's, from what the doctors told me and the trainers told me, it should be feeling better pretty quickly. I'm on some very strong anti-inflammatories right now, and its swelling should come down. Once it does, I should get some mobilization back in my thumb.
Quickly, is it actually the thumb or is it an allergic reaction to the medicine?
Yeah, I think it was probably both. I mean, I was able to play with it. It was very painful, but the reaction was very rare, and it wasn't predicted that it would happen. Obviously, it did, and we're just dealing with it right now.
All right, Mike. We hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Still questionable for tomorrow, Bob. Back upstairs to you.
Okay. Okay, Jim, thanks. Todd Pratt starts in Piazza's place tonight. A real roller coaster ride the last few weeks for New York. It wasn't long ago that you were saying they were baseball's best team.
Well, that was before the Atlanta massacre, Bob, but they have had a real roller coaster ride. I felt they were the best at the time because they have speed at the top of the order featuring Ricky Henderson. They have RBI men in the middle, and they have the best defense in all of baseball. They also have an excellent bullpen, and what has happened to today's game now is that the bullpen has become more important than the starters, and I still think they have a very outstanding chance to go all the way.
Now, as for Arizona, an expansion team in just its second year of existence, winners of 65 in year one, improving that by 35 victories to an even 100 in 1999. But of course, with free agency and the revenues available to expansion teams these days, being an expansion team doesn't mean what it used to mean.
Well, this is definitely a different expansion team, Bob. 15 of the players on this roster have postseason experience with other teams, and they did it by both free agency and trades. Matt Williams, Luis Gonzalez, Matt Manti, and Tony Womack came by trade. So they have put together a very fine ball club, and it's experience, too.
Okay, Mike Piazza out, Rick Reed and Omar Dahl on the mound. We'll have the lineups and the first pitch of Game 3 from Shea Stadium in New York when we come back after this.
This has been the Sun America NBC pregame show. Sun America, the retirement specialist.
Just about ready to get things underway. Here's the Budweiser starting lineup for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who led the National League in runs scored and were second only to Colorado in home runs. They've taken to calling the ballpark in Arizona Coors Light. The ball jumps out of there almost to the same extent as it does in the mile-high atmosphere of Coors Stadium in Colorado. Rick Reed was 11-5. He actually had a better year last year. He made the All-Star team at 16-11, and he was a 13-game winner in 1997. He had 2 tours on the disabled list, if in fact you can tour the disabled list. And actually that may have worked to his advantage because the number of innings pitched this year is his lowest in quite some time, and he may be stronger now as he moves through September and into October.
And this is the best defense in baseball. Look at 33 errors by the infield. That's a major league record. Alfonso 5 and Ordonez 4. I mean, that's unbelievable almost. And then they have speed in the outfield. Henderson can run them down, and so can Dunston.
Baseball royalty in attendance, Sandy Koufax. There's something about the very name that still thrills you. What a presence he was on the mound.
Bob, it wouldn't thrill you if you had to face him, as I did. He was special.
Still looks great, too, doesn't he? A word about that Met defense. They set 3 different records. Highest fielding percentage for a team in a season, fewest errors by a team overall, and fewest errors by an infield.
They only gave up 20 unearned runs the entire season.
A ball to Tony Womack. Rich Rieker is the plate umpire. Jerry Davis at first. Bruce Fremming at second. Jerry Meals at third. Mike Winters has the left field line. Charlie Williams down the right field line. 2-0 to Womack, who for the 3rd straight year led the National League in stolen bases. He swiped 72. Ventura in close at third. There's a strike.
One of Rick Reed's strengths is his pinpoint control. He can hit the outside corner, the inside corner, uses both sides of the plate, changes speeds well, and a very good overhand curveball.
Fastball in the air to center. Dunston a late break, now closing ground on it, and gets there.
And you may see that a lot tonight. Dunston not being a normal center fielder. When they take a big swing, he may take a step back, but he usually overcomes the mistake with his speed. As you can see there, he was running really well coming in on that ball.
Which brings up Jay Bell, who hit 38 home runs this year in 13 previous big league seasons. His high was 21. Arizona agrees with him. Rick Reed throws the 4 basic pitches: fastball, curve, slider, changeup. None of them are exceptional. They're all pretty good, but he has good command. His control is outstanding. In fact, Mike Piazza, who normally catches him, calls him Greg Maddux light. That might be an overstatement, but you get the idea.
Well, he pitches similar to Maddux. He uses his entire repertoire on just about every hitter. I mean, you do not see the same pitch 2 times in a row from him.
And he's ahead of Bell, 1-2. Luis Gonzalez on deck.
The one thing you have to do with Jay Bell is you have to stay out of the middle of the plate with fastballs. He likes the fastball middle of the plate in.
That one's off the outside edge, 2-2. Just a bit inside, full count. This is Reed's 3rd start against Arizona this year. He's 0-2, an ERA upwards of 10. Both of his losses came to his opponent tonight, Omar Dahl. A drive to center. Dunston has it lined up. 2 gone.
Good pitch there by Reed. He got the fastball. Looked like a little cut fastball over the outside part of the plate. And wasn't a lot that he could do with it. This is what you have to do to Jay Bell. Stay away from it. Watch this pitch. See where it is? Perfect pitch. So all he can do is extend out and hit a little fly ball to center field. But if you make mistakes, he will hit it over the wall.
Rick Reed had a disastrous outing against the D-backs May 9th. He lasted an inning and a third and gave up 8 runs. A strike to Gonzalez, who was second in the league in hitting, but a distant second. His .336 was 43 points behind the Rockies' Larry Walker, who hit .379.
And I don't think there's one way to pitch Gonzalez. He's a very good low ball hitter, so you try to stay up if you can, but he can hit the ball inside, outside. He hits all pitches very well.
Foul toward the seats and out of play.
And I'm sure when Detroit made that trade with the Diamondbacks, they never expected Gonzalez to have this type of season.
A season that included a 30-game hitting streak in April and May. Reed's 1-2 pitch. Fans wanted it. Pratt wanted it. Well, Reeker thought otherwise.
That's the pitch that Greg Maddux has made so famous, Bob. He throws it off the inside corner and it kind of runs back over the inside edge.
Todd Pratt, back of the plate, is playing for the first time since September 18th, when he went 2 for 5 against the Phillies. He's had only 2 at-bats since. Full count. In tonight, speaking of Pratt, in place of Mike Piazza. Now, the Diamondbacks will start another lefty, Brian Anderson, in the 1 o'clock afternoon game tomorrow. We don't know if Piazza can make it for that one. The payoff pitch. Line foul.
And that's maybe a bad break for the Mets. If it was tomorrow night, he may have enough time to recuperate. But coming back here and tomorrow afternoon, he may not have enough time so that he can play.
Another 3-2 pitch. Foul to the screen.
And you watch Gonzalez, he kind of drops his back shoulder every once in a while, Bob. That's why he's such a good low ball hitter. But sometimes when that ball gets up, he drops his back shoulder. Watch his back shoulder. See that? That's why he doesn't hit the high ball nearly as well as he does the low pitch.
Reed looking to make it through the first. 1-2-3. But he loses Gonzalez.
That took a good eye by Gonzalez there. That ball moved back toward the inside part of the plate.
And now he'll have to deal with Matt Williams.
Watch this pitch. I mean, it starts inside, but watch the movement. Late movement. It moves back toward the inside corner. Let's take a look here. It just barely misses inside. You can see that Todd Pratt held it right there. He thought it was strike 3.
Matt Williams, who's had his fair share of success against Reed, 5 for 11 in his career. It gets away from Pratt, who can't find it. It's Reed who chases it down in foul territory as Gonzalez moves up to second base.
That wasn't even close. I mean, it's supposed to be a slider, but he held on to it a little too long. Watch where this hits. I mean, it's not even close. And a tough attempt there by Pratt to keep it in front of him, but bounces down the line. And watch this ball, the reverse rotation. See how it kind of reverse back. You throw this ball spinning to your left, it hits and it bounces back to the right, and he could not contain it. He was just trying to block it.
A wild pitch, of course. Now an RBI spot for Williams, who knocked in 142 this year. 1-1.
Well, he completely fooled Matt Williams with both the speed and the location on that pitch. Matt's glad he did not put that ball in play.
Fastball just off the inside corner.
Well, we see him using both sides of the plate, inside and outside, and he needs to be able to spot it just a little bit better. He's missing by a couple of inches, but that's all it takes.
And his 2-1 pitch. A broken bat rolling to short. Ordonez scoops it up and throws it out. Just about automatic when you hit it his way. To the bottom of the first at Shea, no score.
Okay, Louie, take it away.
Take me out.
The Budweiser starting lineup for the Mets. Edgardo Alfonso had a weak September. He hit only .207 in September, but as soon as the calendar turned a page, he went on a rampage. 8 for his last 21, with 3 home runs this week. 1 in the wild card playoff game win at Cincinnati, and then 2, including a grand slam in game 1 of this series in Arizona.
And Bob, with Omar Dahl, he has to establish his fastball inside to these right-handed hitters. He doesn't want to get them out with a fastball, but he has to keep them honest. He throws a changeup and a curveball. Those are his out pitches. But these right-handers will lean out over the plate if he doesn't establish that he will use his fastball inside. Now here's the defense behind him. Look at this. The outfield is ranking in the top 5 in all of their positions. Gonzalez, Finley, and Womack in right field. And remember, this is the first year Womack ever played right field. So he did a pretty good job out there.
Andy Fox, the former Yankee, getting the start at shortstop for Arizona, replacing Hanley Frias, who had been the starter for the first 2 games. Ricky Henderson. As soon as the spotlight shines brightly, Ricky decides to turn it up. He had not stolen a base in the last 14 games of the regular season. Fouled away, a ball and a strike, and in fact had only 10 steals in the season's second half. He stole 5 in the first 2 games in Arizona.
Well, if you're the Mets next year, you tell them postseason starts opening day.
Pretty hard to convince Ricky of anything he doesn't want to be convinced of. Even though he was hitless in game 1, he drew a couple of walks. He is, of course, among the all-time leaders in bases on balls. 2-2.
And watch Omar Dahl. He throws his head at you, his shoulders. He throws a lot of body at you, and then the ball follows. And that's why his changeup and his slow curveball is so effective.
He's 27 years old, 6'3", 175, from Venezuela. Bouncing ball left side. Williams coming on in a hurry. Throws on the run and gets it.
The second baseman.
That was a far more difficult play than it appeared. The thing that makes this play work, as we see Omar Dahl, this is what I'm talking about. Gives your body, arm, now then there's the speed, the slowness, gets Ricky out in front. But the key to this play was Matt Williams got a great break on it. He was really charging quickly and had plenty of time to throw Ricky out once he made the catch.
Does Matt Williams win his 5th Gold Glove this year, or does the Mets' Robin Ventura take his 6th? They would be the leading candidates at third base.
Could be interesting. Could be the entire middle of the Mets infield, Alfonso and Ordonez, and maybe Ventura could all win a Gold Glove.
Strike 1 to Alfonso. Fastball inside, just you were talking about.
That's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to keep these guys honest. And I'm not so sure that they're not going to come inside quite often to Alfonso just to get him to think about it.
These two face each other all the time in winter ball in Venezuela. 2 balls and a strike as the fastball is high. Talking to Buck Showalter about postseason pressure, he said you have to remember, with Latin American players, in winter ball, in the Caribbean series, whatever it may be, that means everything in their nation. So even though this guy hasn't pitched in the postseason in the major leagues, he has pitched in pressure situations.
Yeah, pitching for your country is a little more important than pitching just for a base for your team here in the States. That was that great changeup that he throws, and Edgardo hit it off the end of the bat.
And the 2-2 pitch. A high fly ball to left, and Gonzalez is camped under it.
The first baseman,
A good portion of the time, Omar Dahl gives you that twisting motion, almost like a left-handed Luis Tiant, where he's nearly facing second base.
And what you have to do as a hitter is pick a spot off to his right and look at that spot and say that's where the ball's coming from. You can't watch all the body motion because he'll fool you completely.
That's why he's murder on left-handed hitters. Who managed to hit only .204 against him this year. On the other hand, the same thing is true of Randy Johnson, and Olerud and Ventura had success against him in Game 1. Pitch inside.
Let's take a look at Omar Dahl's motion. I'll tell you what you do. You can't watch all this. You have to look out here and see where he's going to release the ball from. Right out there. This is where you look. Otherwise, he'll fool you with every pitch. Do not look at the back of his uniform. Don't read his name across the back. Look off to the right and pick the ball up out of that motion.
Here's the 3-1. Fly ball center field. Finley will complete a 1-2-3 first. 1 inning in the books. Game 3 at Shea. No score. Diamondbacks and Mets.
Midas. And by the irresistible taste that makes you say, did somebody say McDonald's?
Top of the second, and Erubiel Durazo out of Mexico will lead it off for the Diamondbacks. Broken bat roller toward Olerud, covering his read, and on one pitch, Durazo is gone. As always, in the postseason, our aerial views are courtesy of the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. Overhead is Goodyear's blimp stars and stripes out of Pompano Beach, Florida. Steve Finley now, who gave the Mets fits the night before last with 5 RBIs. Came to the D-backs as a free agent, and his power numbers exploded from 14 homers to 34 and 103 RBIs.
Well, the Bob's a good place for a power hitter to play. And there's an example of what Finley does. He tries to pull everything, so you have to try to stay away from him. He handles everything well from the middle of the plate in. Unless you get 2 strikes, then you come off the plate down and in with a good breaking ball.
Finley's son, Austin, is 6 years old today. He wanted us to say happy birthday, and we have. The 1-1 pitch.
And quite often today we'll see Reed and Dahl throw a pitch just like that. All they're doing is trying to keep the hitter honest so that opens up the outside part of the plate where they actually want to pitch the hitter.
Perfect. A little bloop back of short coming on Ricky Henderson, can't get there.
Well, the pitcher did exactly what he wanted to do. He went inside, and then he tailed the ball away outside, and Finley just got enough of it for a base hit. But he knows that Finley's not going to hurt him if he moves the ball away. He just came off the fastball up and in, and look at this. See the ball run away, hits him right off the end of the bat, but he doesn't get enough wood on it to stay up in time for Ricky to get it. So Reed did what he wanted, and Finley got a little lucky there.
The one-out single, the game's first hit. Brings up Andy Fox, who hit .255 this year with 6 home runs. Ventura in on the grass at third. Ball 1 from Reed. Brian Butterfield is the Arizona Diamondbacks coach at third, flashing signs toward Fox. Dwayne Murphy on the lines at first. Fouled off, 1-1.
And they have to be careful with Finley at first base because he runs well and he can get a good enough jump that he can steal a base.
Reed's 1-1 pitch, a called strike. What a ball game at the Astrodome. Atlanta wins it in 12 innings, 5-3. The Astros had the bases loaded with nobody out in the bottom of the 10th, and John Rocker got Atlanta out of it. So they take a 2-1 lead. Bouncing ball foul, 2 balls and 2 strikes to Andy Fox.
Well, everyone wants to put Atlanta down, but the World Series, the National League Championship, still going to go through Atlanta. You're going to have to beat them in order to win the championship.
Brian Jordan drove in all 5 of their runs today. 3-run homer, and then a 2-run, 2-out double in the 12th to win it. Fox with a defensive swing manages a foul ball and hangs in at 1-2. Last Saturday, Rick Reed pitched, all things considered, the best game of his career in a huge spot. A 3-hit shutout against the Pirates. He struck out 12 and walked nobody. His last 3 outings have been excellent, allowing 4 runs in just 21 innings of work. And he struck out 20 in that stretch. Last year, Reed pitched poorly down the stretch as the Mets let a big lead in the wild card chase slip away. Here goes the runner on 1-2. Reed has it, looks towards second, and takes the safe out at first. So Finley in scoring position with 2 out for the catcher, Kelly Stinnett.
Good job by Finley. He picked the right pitch. And he had a pretty good jump, actually. But with 2 strikes, Andy Fox had to swing. So that's a pretty good jump. And now he gets himself in the scoring position.
Stinnett hit just .232, but he has occasional power. 14 home runs. Ordonez, who concluded the regular season with a string of 100 perilous games. He last hit one on June 13th. He hit it his way. You know you're done.
There's MasterCard, the card at the heart of Major League Baseball.
I'm on an all-night flight when suddenly, terrible heartburn. The guy in the next seat says, "Here, try this, Zantac 75. Thanks, I say. You know, maybe I ought to see a doctor about this heartburn. He says, you just did.
The medicine in Zantac 75 is the #1 doctor-prescribed acid reducer. It relieves even your toughest heartburn, controlling acid for up to 12 hours.
Thanks, doctor, wherever you are.
Zantac 75 for tough heartburn. Doctors know.
Excuse me, what are you doing?
I'm calling long distance with one of those 1010 numbers. Makes you crazy.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's not.
It'll make you nuts. But with the new AT&T one-rate 7-cent plan, calls are just 7 cents a minute.
Yeah, but you can only call at certain times, right?
7 cents a minute all day, every day.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week? That's simple.
Yes, it is.
So I don't have to use those 1010 numbers ever again?
No, you don't.
All day, every day. Call 1-800-41-RATE to enroll.
Excuse me, what are you doing?
When Ray Ordonez first came up, he messed up a lot of routine plays. He made a lot of great plays, but now he makes the routine play as well. Now watch this. The reason is his body position. He stays down on the ball, and makes the play perfectly. You see he kept his head down and the lower part of his body down.
Omar Dahl back to work with a called strike to Benny Agbayani in the New York second. For those of you just joining us, Mike Piazza is out of the Met lineup tonight with an injured left thumb, replaced by Todd Pratt. Heavily bandaged, obviously. They don't know if he can play tomorrow. Agbayani goes the opposite way. A leadoff single, the Mets' first hit. Mookie Wilson, the first base coach, with some words of wisdom for Agbayani, who wears number 50 because he hails from the 50th state. He's a Hawaiian.
Bob, if you're going to be successful against Omar Dahl, that's the way to do it. If you're a right-handed hitter, you're going to have to go the other way as Agbayani did there.
Here's Robin Ventura. Taking ball one.
Dahl has a pretty good crossfire when he pitches to a left-hander. He steps toward first base a little bit more, and he comes right across, gives him a better angle. Let's take a look at the scouting report on Omar Dahl. He throws a lot of breaking balls. His fastball tails away from the right-hander. He must spot his changeup. And the third thing is he must get the fastball in off the plate on the right-handed hitter.
And it's 2-0 to Ventura. Misses. Dahl had 3 starts this year against the Mets. 2-1 against him. ERA 3.86.
Well, he's very upset now, Bob. He thought that pitch was strike. Should have been called a strike.
Instead, he's behind Ventura 3-0. Agbayani away from first with nobody out. On 4 pitches, Ventura draws a walk.
Well, what happened here is he thought he had thrown at least 2 strikes out of the 4 pitches. Let's take a look at the first pitch. He wants to know what's wrong with that one. That one is low. Now watch this one. This is one he really liked. And the 4th one is up high. And I think they're having a meeting at the mound. So you see, that's what a good infielder will do. Jay Bell went in to make sure he wasn't too upset. He said, look, calm down. We know you're upset with the umpire, but don't let it carry over.
Off what I've seen early, the plate ump, Rich Rieker, isn't giving anybody any breaks, be it Reed or Dahl. He's calling a very tight strike zone. So now here's Dunston. Is it too early in the game to sacrifice?
Well, it just depends. If you're Bobby Valentine, you have to think, well, I don't have one of my big guns in there, Mike Piazza, who's a right-handed hitter, against this left-handed pitcher. I don't think it's ever too early to bunt. No. I guess the answer is simply.
Williams even with the bag. No sign of the bunt. Ball 1 outside.
You have to remember, Bob, these are not regular season games. These are playoff games. And usually teams that score first win most of the playoff games. And if you can get on the board first, it gives you that much more of a chance to win, especially when you're at home.
Dunston hit .321 overall. Cardinals and Mets combined. Breaking ball hit to short. Up into his box to Bell for 1, on to first, and they turn the 6-4-3 with Agbayani moving to third, but with 2 out.
The catcher. Well, Dunston hit the ball hard, but he hit it right at the shortstop. See him shaking his head. He knows, I mean, he got a pitch to hit, and he drills it on 2 hops. Easy double play. Andy Fox to Jay Bell to DeRosso. And, you know, he doesn't like that, but he's probably saying to himself, well, we took a shot, and it didn't work right there.
Now Todd Pratt with his first chance to make up for the absence of Mike Piazza. Called strike. Pratt, in 140 at-bats this year, hit .293 with 3 home runs. He had a small taste of postseason action as a backup with the Phillies in '93 when they went to the World Series. He had one at-bat in the LCS against the Braves. Didn't appear in the series against Toronto. And Dahl gets ahead of him 0-2.
So I have a theory, Bob, on playoff baseball. I think it's different than regular season baseball. And I never like to let a pitcher get out of trouble with one pitch. He had runners at first and second. He's in trouble, and I let him get out of trouble with one pitch. I don't like that personally. But, you know, managers normally let their guys hit away, but I just don't like to let a guy get out of trouble with one pitch.
You would have bunted.
Yes.
Tap foul.
But that doesn't mean it's correct. It just means that's the way I would play it. And I would play it that way because I definitely think there's a difference in regular season baseball and postseason baseball.
Of course, you've had your offers to manage. But since you turned them down, we never got a chance to see your theories in action.
You're right. No, again, there's always two ways to play this game. You know, there's two things you can do, and Bobby chose to do one, and I would have chosen to do the other. That's all.
Fastball high to Pratt, 1-2.
It's one of the things I learned from Sparky Anderson, that there are times when your big guys have to be able to sacrifice, they have to be able to do certain things, and so I come from the Sparky Anderson school of postseason play.
Pretty successful school. In tight on him, 2-2. Ordonez on deck. Agbayani inching away from third. With 2 out, the 2-2 pitch. He lays off. They check it first. He didn't go. Full count.
Well, let's take a look and see. Watch the barrel, head of the bat. No, he didn't even start it. That was definitely a check swing.
So Dahl had Pratt in an 0-2 hole. Now he's worked the count full. Draws the walk. The second of the inning.
A lot of people, like to get to the 8th place hitter in this situation, but they forget that Ray Ordonez drove in 60 runs this year. That's a lot of RBIs for a guy hitting in the 8th spot in any batting order.
Ordonez, always a defensive whiz, has gradually improved his hitting. Not that he's a great hitter, but he's no longer an automatic out.
Yeah, but you hit 258 and driving 60 runs. It means you had a lot of key base hits with runners in scoring position. And the reason for that is he started hitting everything back through the middle when he had runners in scoring position, and that really helped him.
Ball 1. Ordonez, as you may know, is from Cuba. Played for Cuba in the World University Games in Buffalo in 1993 and defected immediately after that tournament.
Bob, I was in Cuba at the beginning of the year, and they said that he was the 3rd best shortstop over there. And I laughed at him. I'd say, there aren't 2 shortstops in the whole world as good as this guy, let alone on one little island.
Dahl had 4 pickoffs this year, but that was just a calling card toss over the first. I asked Bobby Valentine before the game if his team was experiencing fatigue. He said, well, let's put it this way, we're not well rested. He said, I don't know if we're tired, but we're definitely not rested.
Well, he said yesterday that the second game in Arizona, they started off the game like they were great. He said, but as the game kind of got away from them, he felt like they were drained a little bit. And rightfully so. I mean, they've had a tough schedule the last couple of weeks. I mean, they've been on a suicide watch from last Thursday till that second game.
Called strike, 2-1. Dunston, Henderson, Alfonso among others. Omar Dahl, 16-game winner this year. Quick snap throw to first, and Pratt dives back. Agbayani at third, Pratt at first. 2 down, no score, bottom of the second. And the 2-1 pitch. Hit toward the hole and through. The Mets are in front. Agbayani scores on the single to right by Ordonez.
That's what he has done all year, driving in runs in key situations. When you have a guy hitting 8 and he drives 60 runs, it's really like driving in 85 or 90, hitting in other spots. There's a curveball, and he goes back through the middle most of the time and the other way, and he does a good job of going the other way with this. Breaking ball, he didn't try to pull it. Jay Bell was probably leaning up the middle because it was slow breaking ball, but he goes the other way perfectly.
Now the pitcher, Reed, who's a good hitter, 244 this year. Way high and outside. Reed didn't connect for one this season, but he has a couple of home runs in his career. They want to check it first, but he checked his swing, 2-0.
Definitely a check swing again. Showalter.
Speaking of Omar Dahl, Showalter told us before the game, he's one of the smartest young players he's ever been around. On days when he's not pitching, he'll often walk past him in the dugout and just hit him with a game situation, and Dahl's head is always in the game. He said this kid could manage or coach when his career is over. An expansion pick out of the Toronto Blue Jays organization. The Jays, I'm sure, are sorry they gave him up. The 2-0 to Reed. 3-0. Strike one. Dahl normally does not have trouble with his control. Reed takes a called strike 2. So Pratt from second and Ordonez from first will be running. There they go, and here it comes. Got him. A called third strike finishes the New York second, but they take a 1-0 lead.
On NBC.
On to the third at Shea Stadium. Omar Dahl, after a tough second, leads it off for Arizona. He, like Reed, is a good hitter. 232. He had 16 base hits this year. 5 of them bunt singles. Now, here's an interesting statistic, talking about the strategy of the sacrifice. Here's a guy with 5 bunt hits, but he's a pitcher without a single successful sacrifice this year.
That is amazing, isn't it? Bob, to equate a pitcher's batting average to an everyday player, if he's in the rotation all year long and he keeps his average over 200, that's like an everyday player hitting 300.
1-2 to him. And Reed finishes him off. First strikeout for Rick Reed, the former replacement player who, like the handful of replacement players who stuck after the strike, faced more than his share of resentment. A lot of players wouldn't talk to him, gave him the cold shoulder, but he proved himself. Winning 13 games 2 years ago, making the All-Star team with 16 victories in 1998. and obviously now an accepted part of this Met team.
And I think John Franco said it best, Bob. He said at first they didn't accept him, but now he's part of the team because he's earned his way on the team.
A strike to Womack.
The reason a lot of players didn't like replacement players was their feeling that they were given a spot. They didn't really earn a spot. And he proved that he could play here, so they enjoyed having him on the team.
0-2. Ventura was way in on the grass, now moves back at third with a 2-strike count on Womack. Jay Bell will be next.
Look at that target.
What'll it be? The 1-2. Rolled foul. For the season, Arizona won 7 of 9 meetings against the Mets, and they've split the first 2 in this series.
Arizona won 100 ball games. I mean, that is quite an accomplishment.
And Womack spoils the 1-2 pitch. Well, on July 20th, the Diamondbacks were only 4 games over 500. From there, they finished the year on a 51-17 tear.
And Bob, a lot of that had to do with the acquisition of Jeff Manti because they were blowing a lot of saves early in the season. Matt Manti. I'm still thinking of Jeff Manto. You corrected me once today. But Matt Manti, I mean, once they got him, they were not blowing leads late in the ball game anymore.
2-2 to Womack. Bouncing ball, Olerud has it. Shovels it to Reed, and that takes care of Womack. And folks, you can go in depth on every game of baseball's postseason by logging on to MSNBCSports.com. There's complete coverage of all the Division Series games, including total casts, pitch-by-pitch updates, and real-time box scores. Plus, check out exclusive analysis from the Reds' Barry Larkin on the Astros, Braves, and Mets Diamondbacks matchups. MSNBCSports.com, the official website of NBC Sports. Jay Bell fly to center his first time up. Reed's 1-0 pitch. In on his hands and rolled foul.
Look at these numbers. As a third baseman, he hit 21 home runs. As a shortstop, he hit 20 and 21. Moved over to second base, a power position, and now he hits 38.
He was a Gold Glove shortstop in 1993 with the Pirates. At second base, he led the National League in errors at that position with 22.
It's funny, Tony Womack says, he came to Pittsburgh, I had to move from shortstop so he could play shortstop. I moved over to second. He said, now I'm in Arizona, I have to move from second to the outfield so he can play second base.
Called strike, 1-2.
But as Buck Showalter said, those were the 2 key moves of his ball club. And if the 2 guys wouldn't have agreed to do it, it would have been a very difficult situation. But they agreed to do it, and it turned into a great move for both them and the ball club.
Fly ball left field, Ricky Henderson moving toward the line, nearly to the track, now on the track for the catch. Reed works a 1-2-3 third and protects a 1-0 lead.
Let's launch it, Slim.
Monday, the string of murders no one cared about is going to end.
Welcome back to Shea Stadium. I'm Jim Gray. I'm now seated with as good a pitcher as there ever was, Sandy Koufax. Sandy, it's good to see you. We see so many home runs now dominating this game, yet in your day, you were one of the pitchers who could dominate a game. What do you think about all these home runs?
Well, I think it's exciting for people to watch. I think part of it is somebody, I don't know, 20 years ago said you got to pitch inside, and everybody believed it like penny to sky is falling. I don't know of any really consistent pitcher who wasn't an outside corner pitcher.
Do you ever think that the pitching can dominate the game again, or is it always going to be a hitter's game now?
No, I think pitching is starting to come back. You see more and more guys, the Pedro Martinez, the Johnsons, guys who have got great arms are proving that you can win with any strike zone and you can dominate a game.
Now, you retired in 1966. You won 3 Cy Youngs. You pitched 3 years for the Brooklyn Dodgers. With the Mets still in it and the Yankees still in it, would you like to see a Subway Series?
Well, being in New York, the Subway Series is pretty exciting. But I think all the clubs that are in the playoffs now deserve a chance. And, whoever wins, wins. But it's kind of fun to be here. And the thought of a New York Subway Series is exciting.
Sandy, it's great to see you. For all of those who saw you 33 years ago and were able to see you pitch, it's a thrill to still see you out the ballpark.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Bob and Joe, back upstairs to you.
Jim, thanks very much. Think of that. 33 years since Sandy Koufax last pitched. Had to retire at the age of 30 because of the arthritic elbow. Omar Dahl throws a fastball by Ricky Henderson and strikes him out to start the New York third.
Bob, I grew up in San Francisco in the Bay Area, so I watched him face Willie Mays and the Giants all those years, and I could not wait till my first time getting a chance to face Sandy Koufax. It was memorable, but not for the reasons that I wanted it to be. He just overpowered me, struck me out the first 3 times up. I didn't foul a ball till the 4th time.
A strike to Alfonso. Did you ever get a hit off Koufax?
Yes,
I imagine
did.
You must have.
Yes, I did. I was even lucky enough to hit a home run off of him. But the fact still remains, I mean, it was just a thrill to face him, But I'll tell you one other thing that he said there that goes against just about everything that most of the older pitchers are telling us. They're saying that the guys do not pitch inside enough now, and that's allowing these hitters to drive the ball out of the ballpark. But he says, and he agrees, he says he pitched like Greg Maddux. He used the outer half of the plate. And I told Maddux what he said once, and Maddux was very flattered, of course, and he would be. But Koufax did use the outer half of the plate.
Dahl's 1-2 pitch to Alfonso. Moves him away. They say that Koufax basically threw just two pitches. The fastball that had the rising action, and the curveball, the devastating curve that had that drop off the table effect.
You could almost hear this ball spinning with the curveball. You can hear the sound, and it would just go straight down. And the great thing about me, from his perspective, is he could dominate you with any pitch. It was like most, guys say, this is my best pitch. Well, he had 2 of those. He could throw all curveballs, get you out, all fastballs.
The 3-2 pitch. Line to left, down the line, possible extra bases. It falls in. Alfonso wants a double. Gonzalez won't even throw.
In the first inning, Alfonso just missed the curveball. He wasn't fooled by it. He just missed it. He almost hit it out of the ballpark. Now, this is another curveball, and he waits on it, and he rips it down the left field line. You can see he's not being fooled by any of the speeds that Dahl is throwing. See how he waits on the ball? I mean, that is why he's so successful. He waits on the ball. If that would have been a fastball, he probably would have hit it to right field, but he waits on the ball so well, gives him a longer chance to look at it.
Now Olerud, who flied to center in the first. That's trying to add to a 1-0 lead. Strike 1. And the last thought on Sandy. That man is 63 years old. How good does he look?
It looks like he can still pitch.
As elegant in street clothes as he was on the mound. He wasn't just great. There was an elegance about him standing on the hill in a big ball game. Here's the 0-1. Line to left. It's in for a hit. Gonzalez coming on. Rojas waving Alfonso to the plate. Williams lets it come through, and that allows Olerud to move up to second on his RBI single that makes it 2-0 New York.
That's excellent base running by both Alfonso and by Olerud. Not to mention the good hitting by Olerud. Fastball in after he had thrown him a curveball away. Olerud inside outs it for a base hit. A lot of times the guy at second base is not sure. He has to wait till this ball gets through the outfield. But you can see right there Alfonso was off with the crack of the bat, and he scores easily. Now, Matt Williams doesn't cut it off. As you can see Stinnett pointing to second base. Olerud goes on down to second. Good base running by the Mets.
Here's Agbayani. in the cleanup spot tonight in Piazza's absence. Singled his first time up. Luis Gonzalez, the left fielder for Arizona, has 10 assists, but that's because guys dare him to throw. He has a weak arm.
Well, that was an excellent base running play by Alfonso. He got a great jump.
Agbayani bounces one by the diving Williams. Olerud had retreated to second, and he has to stop at third. Runners at the corners with one out.
See, that's a little different play. He's not able to recognize that that ball's going to get through, so he had to wait. You do not go if the ball's hit in front of you. That's a changeup, and Agbayani pulls it in the hole. Matt Williams makes a dive for it, not able to come up with it. Here's Matt Williams, one of the best third basemen in baseball. Quick reaction, but he just can't quite get there. And Olerud waited and got her over to third base.
Ventura had to walk his first time. Sean Dunston on deck. Durazo has it. He gets one on the first, over the head of foul, and Olerud scores. They tried to turn the 3-6-1. Ventura shaken up a little bit. Fox's throw sailed over Dahl's head as he covered first.
I tell you what, Bob, I blame Dahl a little bit for this. Watch. Now, here's the play. Now, watch. Dahl doesn't get to first base. He's not over there. Right now, he should already be there, giving him a target. Now he has to hit him on the move, and you can see the collision. Right now, Dahl should be running to first base. Andy Fox would be able to hit him. Now he has to try to hit him on the move. No chance.
Center fielder, Sean Dunston.
So score the play 3-6, then E6 on the throw. But since you can't assume the double play, Ventura gets an RBI. And it's 3-0 New York. Dunston hit the ball hard his first time up, but into a 6-4-3 double play. Ball one.
Bob, the toughest double play to make is the 3-6-1 double play. And that's something they work on a lot in spring training. And I just felt like Omar Dahl did not break off the mound as quickly. He thought that maybe the first baseman, Durazo, was going to throw to second and then get back. And I think that cost him a step.
The 1-0 pitch to Dunston. Slow roller, Fox charging, throws on the run and gets him. The Mets settle for 2 in the third and lead game 3-0.
This weekend on NBC, boxing, bowling, skateboarding, and babes with belly button rings.
Cool, huh?
Come on, what else is there? Super Sports Weekend, tomorrow on NBC.
You've seen pictures like this on TV for years. Children so poor they can't even afford simple things, like decent shoes or medicine when they are sick. And your heart has always told you the right thing to do. So maybe today, you should listen to your heart. Hello, I'm Walter Coppage for Children International. Please, call the number on your screen now. When you do, we'll send you this free information kit. Inside, you'll find the photo and history of one special little boy or girl overseas who needs you. A child, like Rona. When we found Rona, she was suffering from tuberculosis. She was sick and frail. But look at her today. She's healthier than ever before, all because someone just like you listened to her heart and became her sponsor. Maybe you're thinking sponsorship costs too much. It doesn't. In fact, it's only $12 a month. Maybe you're thinking you can't make a real difference. But you can. Your $12 will help pay for practical benefits, such as regular visits to the doctor, medicine when your child is sick, Basics like pants, shirts, and shoes. Emergency food. Essentials your child may need to get a good education. And more. Maybe you're thinking someone else will help. The sad truth is, some children wait for years to be part of our sponsorship program. Maybe you should just look into the eyes of a child who needs you. And
back at Shea Stadium with Joe Morgan, I'm Bob Costas. This ball game is a long way from over. It's 3-0 and we're just in the fourth. But for the sake of argument, if Arizona loses, some fans will say, bring Randy Johnson back on short rest to pitch game 4. Brian Anderson, another left-hander, is scheduled to go in game 4 tomorrow against Al Leiter. Luis Gonzalez swings on the first pitch from Rick Reed. And on the outfield grass, here's Alfonso to squeeze it for out number 1. Before the game, though, Buck Showalter told us he had no intention of using Randy Johnson before Game 5, if there is a Game 5, back in Arizona.
But there's a problem, Bob, that you have to look at. A lot of people that say, well, bring Randy right back. Okay, if they lose today, Randy comes back and wins tomorrow, you're going to have to pitch Brian Anderson in Game 5, right? So you're going to have to pitch him anyway. I think Randy Johnson is more... Your team would have more confidence in Randy Johnson in Game 5 if they get to Game 5. And you may say again, well, the fifth game's in Arizona, that might help Anderson, but I don't think so. I guess I'm saying is Buck, I like what he's doing there. He's decided that, hey, Randy's the guy I'm going to pitch in the fifth game. I'm going to give him his proper rest, and he'll be ready to pitch.
So tomorrow afternoon, Showalter intends to go with Brian Anderson, 8-2, against Al Leiter, who was 13-12. Olerud couldn't snare the opposite field liner by Matt Williams. It's a one-out single.
First baseman, Rubiel Durazo.
Well, Matt Williams is a guy that, he'll adjust to the way you pitch him. He doesn't just hit one way. That's fastball down and away, and he just goes the other way. And Olerud was way off the line. I mean, he is way off the line. That's a good pitch. You can see that's a very good pitch by Rick Reed, down and away. And if you try to pull that pitch, you hit a little weak ground ball to shortstop. Matt Williams just takes it the other way.
Here's a Rubiel Durazo taking ball 1 and just 155 at-bats in the big leagues. He has 11 home runs and he hit .329. He hit .404 in 91 minor league games before they called him up.
He's hit every place that he has played, Bob, and he hasn't stopped hitting since he came to the big leagues.
2-0. The Diamondbacks' first baseman was to have been the highly touted Travis Lee. First he slumped, then he sprained an ankle. Up came Durazo, went on a rampage, and Lee couldn't get his job back. Reed's 2-0 pitch. Misses. 3-0. Steve Finley waiting on deck. Durazo takes a strike. Williams, who singled, is at first with 1 out. The D-backs trail 3-0 as they bat in the fourth. Strike 2. Talking to Showalter about Durazo, Buck said, I've stopped talking to him. I'm afraid I'll snap him out of this trance he's in. I don't even say hello.
You don't want to wake him up and let him realize that he's not supposed to be hitting as well as he has since he's been to the big league.
Williams goes on the 3-2 pitch, which is foul to the seats.
That's something I like right there. Putting your runners in motion. Do not stop playing the game. You're in a situation, you're down 3 runs. A lot of guys say, hey, we got to wait and, don't waste our outs on the base pass and hope for a 2-run homer or hope for a 3-run homer. No, you're early in the ball game. If you can get 1 run back here, 1 later on, you have plenty of time. So you just play the game the way that you've been playing it all year. And there is a risk. If he strikes out and throws him out, you're out of the inning, or if it's a line drive. But I think you have to take those chances when you're down, and especially when you're on the road.
He goes again, and it's ball 4. Second walk given up by Reed.
The center fielder.
Baseball tomorrow. ESPN 2 has Game 4 of this series. At the same time, ESPN has Game 4 of the Braves and Astros. Atlanta now in front 2-1 after a 12-inning win at the Astrodome earlier today. Fox at 4 o'clock has the Indians and Red Sox from Fenway. We take a flight to Texas and do Game 3 of the Yankees and Rangers on NBC at 7:30 Eastern Time tomorrow.
Full slate of baseball.
A lot of lawns will go unmowed tomorrow. Steve Finley. He singled his first time up.
And even though Reed walked Durazo, he was only missing just a little bit. And the first pitch to Finley just a little bit out of the strike zone. He's trying to make sure he stays away from these hitters' power.
Hit hard. Olerud has it. To Ordonez one. He'll hold the ball and take no chances. Reed was covering at first. They settle for the force. That's the second out. Runners at first and third.
But you can see the difference in what I was talking about. Rick Reed gets over there quickly. Now watch how quickly Reed is there as compared to Dahl in the last inning. Nice play there by Olerud. See, you can see Reed, he's already on his way. He is there in time, but Finley runs well, so there was no chance for the double play. By contrast, in the last inning, Ventura has a bad foot, so he's not running that well. And if Dahl would have gotten over there, I think they would have been able to, it would have given the shortstop a target.
Here's Andy Fox, who grounded out his first time up. Ball 1 to him. Part of the reason why Fox drew the start over Hanley Frias is that he has played in New York before, a former Yankee. The atmosphere in New York can be tough on visitors. Slices this one foul. 1-1.
No doubt. It's a different type of crowd in Yankee Stadium and here in Shea Stadium than you get in most other cities around the big leagues.
Some of these New York crowds can make a Ryder Cup gallery look like finishing school.
Leave those guys alone.
A parting shot. Was exciting, though, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
There goes the runner from first, and Fox lofts one foul.
See, Buck Showalter is just playing the game right here. Finley's a good base runner, so he's going to let him steal second. That is not a hit and run right there. That's just, he's going to steal second base. If Fox gets a good pitch to hit, go ahead and hit it. But if he takes it, he's hoping that Finley will steal second base.
Not going this time, and the 1-2 pitch is driven foul deep to right. Showalter took the Yankees as the wild card. The first postseason that included the wild card to the playoffs in '95. They lost a thrilling 5-game set against the Mariners. Back in the playoffs in the National League in just year 2 in Arizona. Not going, 1-2 pitch, slice to left. Ricky Henderson on the move, stumbles a bit, lands untouched in foul ground.
Ricky got a good jump on this ball. Watch how quickly he's moving. See, he got a good jump on it. He had a long way to go to get there, but watch, he stumbles right there. And after he did that, there was really no chance because you can't run into that wall out of control. It's been a long time, but Ricky used to win Gold Gloves as a left fielder.
Williams a lead from third. Finley away from first. Reed with a bluff.
I hate that play, Bob, because I think it's illegal. You're not supposed to, try to trick the runners. I mean, and what else are you doing when you make that position? I mean, when you try a play like that.
Spoken like a former base stealer. The 1-2 pitch again. Another chance for Olerud. He'll take it himself, and Reed is out of the fourth. The D-backs strand 2 and still trail by 3.
Test your investing IQ.
NBC's coverage of tonight's Division Series is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks. the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Merrill Lynch, no matter what you want to achieve, we can help. And by Coors Light, frost brewed to tap the clean taste of the Rockies.
Ricky Henderson giving the trainer a bit of a rub down, returning the favor. Bottom of the order in the bottom of the fourth. Pratt, Ordonez, and Reed for New York. 2-0. You might wonder, especially with left-handed pitchers at such a premium all around baseball, how could the Toronto Blue Jays not have protected Omar Dahl? How could he have gone in the expansion draft to the Diamondbacks? The reason might have been this. 2-0 pitch, he misses outside. He doesn't have an overpowering fastball, and early in his career he was regarded as a situational reliever, a guy who comes in and pitches to one or two left-handed batters. And Toronto might have figured that Arizona wouldn't waste a pick on a guy who couldn't eat up innings for them. There's a called strike, but actually they had scouted him in Venezuela in winter ball, where he was a starter. He had never been a starter in the major leagues. Their idea was to convert him into a starter. That's what they have done with him, and he's been very effective. Pratt fouls it off, 3-2.
But that was pretty good logic on the part of Toronto, too, as you mentioned. I mean, normally when you're an expansion team, you want guys with good arms who can eat up some innings for you. And in Arizona's case, they said they wanted guys not only that could eat up innings, but they wanted guys with good arms so they could make trades to help their ball club, and they've been able to do that.
His 3-2 pitch is fouled to the seats and right again.
They used some of the guys that they acquired in the draft to trade for, like Matt Manti. They used some to trade for Matt Williams. They used those guys to be, they wanted guys that were tradable, and they got some, and they've used them wisely.
Dahl is 27 years old. This is his 7th year in the major leagues. And another foul back. Dahl began with the Dodgers, went to the Expos, then the Blue Jays, and has flourished in Arizona.
Well, my first, when I first noticed him was when he was with the Dodgers, because he could get Barry Bonds out. I mean, Barry Bonds had trouble hitting Omar Dahl. He still does, but I mean, that's when I really knew that he was a pretty good pitcher.
And he fans Pratt to start the fourth, which brings up Ordonez, who in his lone at bat singled in the game's first run, going to the opposite field in the second inning.
And when a guy hits 8th in the order and he drives in runs for you, and he plays such a great shortstop, he's almost an untouchable player on your ball club.
A little bouncer, right side, Durazo over with Dahl. Dahl pushes it into foul ground, and Ordonez gets an infield hit. He touched it in fair territory and botched the play.
Well, he was trying to get to it before it would roll foul, and he was off balance when he got there. He fights this ball off down the first baseline. Now watch. He thinks the ball is going to go foul, so he tries to get to it before that, and he hits it with the tip of his glove and knocks it into foul territory. So he's trying to get there quickly, and he just doesn't quite open his glove wide enough.
If he fields it, it's a simple tag play.
Right. But watch his glove. He hits right off the thumb of his glove.
So now Reed with a chance to help himself. Williams inching in at third. Trailing 3-0, trying to keep it reasonably close. Reed squares and bunts it foul.
Let's take a look here. Reed bunts it, and then it bounces up and hits his glove. Watch this. He puts his bat out in front. He bounces it. It hits the plate and bounces up, hits his glove. It's a foul ball because he was still in the batter's box. If he does that when he's out of the batter's box,
He's out. Reed has 8 sacrifice bunts this year. So he can help himself with the lumber. A .244 hitter. And a good bunter in situations like this. Cookie Rojas, former big league manager. One-time Philly second baseman. Now the Met coach at third, flashing the signs to Reed. Ordonez leading away from first with 1 out. Still looking to bunt, but first the throw chases Ordonez back. Look at Rojas to make extra certain he has the sign.
Well, he's done his show bunt right there, and I think that's the reason that Omar Dahl decided to throw to first base, thinking that maybe they had changed the sign, and now they start all over again. Because they may have had a hit and run on because that's why it took him so long to look down there. And he didn't indicate that he was bunting, but I think they would put the bunt back on now.
No sign of it. He swings and misses.
Well, I didn't think that they were doing it before, but I thought since they caught him that they would go ahead and force him to bunt. He did not square around when Dahl threw to first base.
The 0-2. Now he tries to bunt and gets it down with 2 strikes. Dahl barehands it and shuffles over to Durazo for the out. Nice job by Reed.
Great job with 2 strikes to be able to push it down the first baseline. But you're right, Omar Dahl wasn't taking any chances with that glove. This time he barehands it. Now this one looks like one he should have also caught with his glove. It's still rolling pretty quickly, but he decides, no, I'm not going to make any mistake. He barehands it and flips to Durazo.
Very nice, says Bobby V. Just the way we practice it in spring training, just what I'd hoped for. So Henderson in a 2-out RBI spot. He's grounded out and struck out. Breaking ball on the outside corner for a strike. Ricky Henderson will be 41 the day after Christmas.
Christmas Day.
Actually, you're right. It is Christmas Day. Well, he'll still be 41 the day after Christmas. He'll be 41 for the next 365.
You're right.
So technically, you know.
Yeah, the only reason I know is because I live in the Bay Area, and that's where Ricky's from.
And he has a little Christmas and birthday party each year that he invites you to?
Well, he doesn't invite me anymore. We were teammates, he did.
Sure, it's a festive occasion.
Yeah.
He says he wants to play 3-4 more years.
I wouldn't put it past him because he's in such great shape. He doesn't have the body of a 40-year-old guy.
A ball and a strike. Because he's played on so many different teams, and because at times his approach to the game has frustrated and even infuriated managers and fans, Ricky Henderson is not regarded by some as one of the all-time greats. But when you look at the numbers, he's got to be somewhere among the top dozen or so outfielders who's ever played.
He is one of the all-time greats, in my opinion. He's the best leadoff hitter ever, and there have been some great ones. I played with Pete Rose, who was a great leadoff hitter. But Ricky Henderson takes what Pete did a step farther. He can steal a lot of bases, and he also, hit more home runs leading off a ball game than anyone in the history of the game. But those numbers there, when you look at the 2,001 runs scored, that's important because that has always been his job. And only Babe Ruth and Ted Williams have received more bases on balls than he did. Than he has. He's still doing it.
Ordonez at second with 2 out. And Dahl's 1-2 pitch. He lays off. They check once again at first, and once again, Jerry Davis is unmoved by the appeal.
This is a pretty good pitch by Dahl in that he's got Ricky fooled. Ricky, there's not a lot he could do with that. And he stops it just short of committing.
By the way, the ball Ordonez hit, which Dahl nudged into foul territory, was originally ruled an infield hit. Now they've changed it to an error.
Well, they saw him make the play later with his bare hand.
Back to Dahl. He can't make that play. Diving to smother at his box. He saves the run. He throws in behind Ordonez, who scampers back to third.
That was a nice play by Andy Fox. And actually, I mean, I thought he had a shot at Ricky, but he couldn't get the ball out of his glove quick enough. This ball is hit directly back through the middle of the diamond. Look at this. You don't even see Andy Fox in your picture. He's way back over here. Look at that. Right up the middle. He dives for it, and if he can get it right there, so he couldn't get it out of his glove. As it popped out, he lost the handle, and therefore he couldn't get Ricky. Now, look at this. A great play. Now, he has a shot at throwing Ricky out right here. But look, he cannot transfer the ball from his glove to his hand, and then he wisely holds on to it.
Now the very dangerous Alfonso. If Dahl makes a mistake here, Edgardo could break the game open.
Well, this will be interesting how he pitches him, Bob. He has tried to get him out with the curveball the first 2 times up, and Alfonso just missed hitting the first curveball out of the ballpark in the first inning. He ripped a double down the left field line off the curveball the next inning. Now, he may show him a curveball, but he's going to probably try to get him out with a straight change.
Foul back, a ball and a strike.
And that was the changeup. But Alfonso waits so well, I don't know if the changeup's going to bother him unless it's almost a perfect pitch moving down and away, and that one was not moving down and away. He had a great swing at it.
Alfonso's the kind of hitter who confounds scouts. He'll hit almost any pitch to any part of the field with power. 2 balls and a strike. Darren Holmes is the first to get up. Buck Showalter's bullpen.
This pitch will either be a fastball away or a changeup away. He's not going to try to come with that curveball anymore. Changeup. See, if a guy is hitting your breaking ball and you know he's a good fastball hitter, well, that only gives you one choice, and that's the changeup. Now watch, this is a beautiful pitch, though. The same 77 miles an hour, which was the same as the first pitch, but he gets this one in a better location. Gets this one just off the outside corner. The question is, you're here in a 2-2 situation. What do you want to do? You can go off the plate inside to set him up for the changeup away, but then you're taking a count to 3-2.
2 on, 2 out, and the 2-2 pitch with Henderson running. It's up and in. Stinnett bluffs the throw, but concedes the base.
See, that's what he was doing. He was trying to waste the fastball up and in, hoping that Alfonso would swing at it, and he did not.
6 stolen bases in the series now for Ricky Henderson.
Easier for him because he has first base open and a left-handed hitter coming up next. So you try to make a perfect pitch here on Alfonso. Change up away. There it is.
Showalter realizing, with Olerud waiting on deck, that he is 1 bad pitch away from a 5-0 deficit, or maybe more, if Alfonso goes deep. Another 3-2 pitch. Blocked by Stinnett in the dirt to prevent the wild pitch. The bases are loaded on the walk.
And that was another changeup that he was trying to throw low and away. And it doesn't really hurt you. Say, I'll make a perfect pitch or I'll walk it. You know, first base was open.
Dahl has thrown 84 pitches. Mark Connor, the pitching coach, to the mound. Dahl is due to be the second hitter in the top of the 5th. But if you wait with the idea of pinch hitting for him, you may be 1 pitch from being too far behind to do anything about it.
I don't don't think they're really that upset that he walked Alfonso, you know, because Alfonso's the hottest hitter on this ball club. He's hurt them more than anyone else.
Well, you know, with the right-hander Holmes warming up and Olerud, the left-handed batter, coming to the plate, they're going to let him face at least one more guy.
Right. Well, Olerud in the third inning got a great at-bat, fastball, and he went the other way with it, and he drove in Edgardo Alfonso, who had doubled. Now here's the question. All right, he tried to get him out with a fastball. He didn't get it in where he wanted it. So how do you try to get him out this time?
Dahl to Olerud. First pitch, little pop. Stinnett off with a mask. No play.
So he starts him off with a curveball, and now if he throws him a fastball, I guarantee the fastball will be inside this time. He will not get it out over the plate, so Olerud could slap it the other way.
Career numbers with the bases loaded.
And there's the way that Olerud hits. He pulls the ball a little over half the time, I would guess. And you see he goes back through the middle and the other way 57% of the time. 57 hits the other way.
This year, he's been even better with the sacks juiced. 5 for 7, 2 grand slams. A called strike, 0-2. One of those grand slams came late in the year, the season's final week, off Greg Maddux here. The only game out of 6 head-to-head that Bobby Valentine's team was able to beat the Braves down the stretch.
That was a great pitch there by Dahl and smart hitting there by Olerud. He knew he couldn't do anything with it, so he took it.
And the 0-2. Got it swinging. Ball gets away, and all Stinnett has to do is step on home plate with 2 outs. All the runners are forced on that play. So the strikeout ends the inning, and the Mets leave them loaded and still lead after 4, 3-0. As we move to the 5th, Reed's first pitch to the D-backs catcher Kelly Stinnett is a called strike. Omar Dahl is the scheduled hitter next. Turner Ward is on deck to hit for him, and that's barely foul down the third baseline.
This was Omar Dahl between innings, and you can see he's upset because that probably means that they're going to pinch hit for him.
I don't know if he's upset just because he's a competitor and wishes he did better and wishes he could remain, or because he disagrees with the strategy. If it's case 2, I don't know what he's thinking, because he isn't pitching that well and they're down 3-0 and time's a wasting.
I think he's a little bit of both. I think he's not happy that he pitched as well, but he also feels like, you know, he could pitch the rest of the way and maybe hold them down. You always have, if you're a competitor and you're a major league player, you always feel like you can shut the other team down, even if you've had some bad innings at this point.
The 1-2 pitch in on his hands and bounced foul.
And the other thing, Bob, if you're Omar Dahl, you know that you have a ball club that can come back. The Diamondbacks, one of the best offensive teams in the league. If it wasn't for Colorado, they'd have led the league in home runs. They have the power to come back, even from a 3-0 deficit, because they have guys who can hit the ball out of the ballpark. And anytime you have players who can hit the ball out of the ballpark, you're never out of a ball game.
Down and away, 2-2.
As Bob Prince, the gunner, used to say in Pittsburgh, a bloop and a blast.
Get you right back in it.
Right back in the game.
A bloop and a blast.
Yeah.
In the air to right center field with Dunston in pursuit, and he misplayed the ball. He started in. It sails over his head. Stinnett on his way to second, and he'll stop there with a leadoff double. Well, prior to this year, Dunston had only played about 20 games in the outfield. He was, of course, a longtime shortstop, primarily with the Cubs. He's played a lot of outfield this year with both the Cardinals and the Mets, and he's had a few misadventures out there, both in right field and in center.
And center field is normally the easiest place to get a good jump on the ball. He started across, but he really misjudged it. But it's usually easier to get to gauge the ball from center field than it is right field or left field, because the ball's not going to hook on you so much. He just misplayed it, thinking that it wasn't hit quite as hard as it was.
and it carried over his head. Native New Yorker, played at Thomas Jefferson High School in Brooklyn, a high school sensation more than a decade ago. Dream come true, a chance to go to postseason with a New York team. Turner Ward, the pinch hitter, switch hitter, fouls it off. Ward was released by the Pirates earlier this year. A lot of former Pirates on the Diamondback roster. Bell, Womack, Ward. As you saw by the numbers, in limited duty, he's been a useful player for Buck Showalter. Reed's 0-1 pitch. Hit in the air to deep right. Back goes Agbayani. A bloop and a blast. And they're back in the game at 3-2. Turner Ward off the bench with a pinch hit homer.
Well, you're never out of a ball game when you have power. That's the thing to always remember. And in this day and age when there are so many home runs hit, and you have 5 or 6 home run hitters on your ball club, you always eventually think you're going to get one. This looks like a slider that was down and in, and most left-handed hitters really can hammer this ball. Breaking ball, it doesn't get down and in. He knows right away that he's hit it out. Turner Ward knew it, and so did Rick Reed. He knew that he had hung that breaking ball, and Ward hit it out.
A ball and a strike now to Tony Womack, who's 0 for 2. So in the bottom of the 4th, the Mets, leading 3-0, had the bases loaded. One pitch from possibly breaking the game open. Now their lead is trimmed to just 1 run. Roll to Alfonso, who throws Womack out.
And now Dahl, even though he would still rather be in the ball game, he can't be unhappy with his manager's decision, because now it's a ball game again. He's just not going to be in there to pitch.
Bell is fly to center and fly to deep left. Called strike 1.
But if you look down this lineup, Jay Bell, Luis Gonzalez, Matt Williams, Durazo, Finley, all of them are capable of hitting a ball out of the ballpark, so you're just never out of the game.
Bouncer foul. Buck Showalter, 43 years old. Dennis Cook now up in the Met bullpen, veteran left-hander. Outside the Bell, 1-2. In the air to right, Agbayani glides over. There's the second out. These pictures are from the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. Goodyear currently maintains 7 blimps, 3 domestic and 4 international operations. Gonzalez to the plate with 2 out and nobody on and 2 runs home in the top of the 5th. Luis has walked and popped to second. Strike 1. Down and away, 1-1.
The other thing to remember, you're going through the lineup now the 3rd time. So these guys have all seen all of your pitches by now. And they'll be trying to make adjustments. So a lot of times the 3rd time through the order, a pitcher has to change his pattern. And here we see the way he pitched Bell and Finley, he did change his pattern. He's gone to a little more of a changeup against the left-handers, and he pitched the right-hander inside.
Here it comes on 1-2, and it's fouled out of play. Showalter pushed the right buttons in this inning. Pulled Omar Dahl after letting him remain in to retire the left-handed hitting Olerud in the bottom of the fourth with the bases loaded. Turner Ward came up and smacked a 2-run pinch hit homer.
But it's not a real big strategy to take Dahl out. The strategy is, and the toughest part for a manager, is to pick the pitch hitter off the bench that matches up best against the pitcher that's on the mound. That's where the managing expertise comes in.
Bouncing ball to Alfonso. Easy chance for him, but the Diamondbacks are back in the game. To the bottom of the fifth, it's 3-2 after this swing by the pinch hitter Turner Ward, and he knew it from the moment of contact.
Incredible comeback victory over Oklahoma. Quarterback Jarius Jackson and the Irish look to keep it rolling versus Heisman hopeful J.R. Redmond at Arizona State as the Sun Devils make their first ever trip to South Bend. Saturday at 2:30 Eastern on NBC.
While we were away, here's Randy Johnson with a word of appreciation for Turner Ward, who hit the pinch hit 2-run homer, and Randy with a stick just in case his pinch hit services are required, which seems highly unlikely. Darren Holmes, 10-year veteran, on the Yankee roster last year, although he didn't pitch for them in the postseason. He was with the Rockies when they went to postseason as the wild card in '95. This is his first year in Arizona. And he takes over with his team trailing 3-2. Roger Cedeno comes off the bench to bat for Benny Agbayani with the right-hander on the mound. Cedeno hit well over 300 for the year, but almost all of his at-bats, he's a switch hitter, came from the left side. Under 200 right-handed, which is why Agbayani started in right tonight. Agbayani had a couple of singles while he was in there.
And looking at Darren Holmes, he throws a sinking fastball. We've seen the first two pitches. His strikeout pitch is a good curveball. So when he gets ahead in the count, he usually tries to finish the hitter off with a good breaking ball.
2-0 to Cedeno, who will stay in the game and play right field. Down and in, 3-0. Robin Ventura waits on deck, and Sean Dunston scheduled after him. Cedeno takes a strike. Holmes out of the stretch, his 3-1 pitch. Chopped to second. Jay Bell has it on a big hop. And that takes care of Cedeno. Coming up on NBC, another blockbuster drama series.
NBC Sunday, the Third Watch tries to save lives in the middle of a gang war and take rescue to the edge to stop a jumper. The Third Watch, NBC Sunday.
That's more must-see TV on NBC. Ventura has walked and picked up an RBI on a ground out. On the first pitch, a high fly ball to deep left center field. Finley back to the warning track for the catch.
Bob, unlike Arizona, this is not a real good hitter's ballpark. The wind kind of swirls out there in the outfield, and the ball doesn't carry all the time. Not a great hitter's ballpark. There's that sinker, it's moving away. Robin goes the other way with it, and he hit it pretty well, but the ball just does not carry nearly as well here as it does in a lot of other ballparks. Finley gets a good jump on it. You can see the ball start to die right there. And it gets knocked down because it's an open stadium out there, and a lot of times the winds cut across and knock the balls down, so not a great hitter's park.
Darrell Hamilton now will bat for Sean Dunston. 2 reasons. Right-hander in the game, so they send up the left-handed hitting Hamilton. Also, Hamilton is a natural center fielder and a good one. Very 145 games this year with the Rockies and Mets without committing an error. Dunston, as you saw in the last inning, isn't totally comfortable in center field, so with a slim lead, they'll improve their defense when we move to the 6th.
And they don't get hurt with Hamilton hitting as well, because if he gets on base, he runs well also. But you have to give Dunston credit. The guy goes out there. He's been a natural infielder most of his career, but he's willing to do anything he can to help the ball club win, so you have to pat him on the back. I mean, no one wants to go out there and make a mistake and he probably wouldn't make any mistakes if he was playing the infield. He used to be, he was a great shortstop in Chicago.
Hamilton hit .315 this year between the Rockies and the Mets. Holmes' 2-1 pitch. Line hard to center, but Finley is there. The Mets go down in order in the 5th, and it's still a 3-2 ball game as we roll on at Shea.
Central.
It'll be Williams, Durazo, and Finley in the Arizona 6th against Reed. Curveball is tapped foul.
There you see Mookie Wilson on the right and Sean Dunston on the left. And Mookie, of course, was on that 86 team that came back and beat the Red Sox.
Hit the ball that went through Buckner's legs. A ball and a strike to Williams. Not to mention standing there as Bob Stanley's wild pitch, which some people thought should have been a Rich Gedman pass ball, but either way, it went to the screen. That tied the game. And then several pitches later, the ball through Buckner's legs off Mookie Wilson's bat. He was a lifetime center fielder. Talking to Dunston, who's playing out of position tonight, and was burned by a ball he misjudged in the last inning.
Well, you can see he's talking about the angle he took at the ball. Mookie Wilson was a center fielder.
Meanwhile, a ball and 2 strikes to Matt Williams, who was grounded out and singled against Reed. Reed is approaching 100 pitches. He is due to be the 3rd hitter in the 6th inning, but the Met bench is thin, and they've already used Hamilton, who's now in center field, and Cedeno, who's now in right field, as pinch hitters. Hit toward the hole, but Ordonez skids to stop it, pops back up, and shows you his gold glove form.
Well, Matt Williams has done that to a lot of other hitters. He's taken hits away from him. But the way that he does it, the way that the artistry that's here, look at this. He stops himself, and then he just kind of flips it over there. He doesn't even take an extra step to fire it across the diamond. Now watch, once he catches it, he sets himself right there, look, on his back leg and gets rid of the ball. Most of the time you see a shortstop catch the ball, he'll take one extra step to wind up. He doesn't have to wind up. Beautiful. Him and Ozzie Smith, the wizard, they could make that play.
Throw in Omar Vizquel if you want to continue the argument.
He plays it a little differently, but this play here is one that both Ozzie Smith and Ordonez specialize in. Look at that. See how he plants his right foot and throws off his back foot? Beautiful. The regular season, he still has a streak going of 100 consecutive games without an error, which is a major league record. It doesn't count here in the playoffs, so he'll start that streak up next year, opening day. But, it's just amazing to think that a shortstop could play that many games without an error with the range that he has. It's okay if you don't have a lot of range, but he has all the range in the world, throws off balance, makes all great plays, and he still gets the job done.
He's both sure-handed and spectacular. The 0-2 pitch to Durazo is skied to center. Hamilton over with Henderson. Who wants it? Hamilton.
Well, the center fielders always should take charge. And speaking of that, that's why they brought Hamilton in. Let's take a look at game 2. This was a fantastic play by Hamilton. This ball is hit to the deepest part of the ballpark. Hamilton just runs it down and makes a great catch. Kind of reminds you of Tommy Agee. And earlier this inning, in the 5th inning, we saw Dunston misjudge one, and that's part of the reason that they've made the change. But again, Dunston's out of position, so you can't blame him for that. But that play that Hamilton made kind of reminded me of the play Tommy Agee made in '69 when the Mets were beating the Baltimore Orioles.
Agee made 2 great plays in this ballpark in Game 3 of that World Series. One in left center and one in right center. Called strike, 1-1 to Finley, who singled and grounded out.
You see the difference I said he has to change his patterns a little bit after this is Finley's third at bat. He's been staying away from him, so Finley's looking for the ball away. He came inside with a fastball. You don't want to pitch him inside very often, but you do it just enough to keep him honest.
Two balls and a strike. Last year with San Diego, Finley played in the World Series against the Yankees. Didn't do all that well, which was true of most of his teammates. They were swept 4 straight. Finley was 1 for 12 in the Fall Classic. He holds up 3 balls and a strike. Coming to Arizona, all of his numbers jumped. 14 homers, 67 RBIs for the Padres in '98, 34 and 103 for the D-backs.
Well, he had a good year. Plus, he was hitting in a much better hitter's park in Arizona.
Lays off the 3-1 pitch and draws a 2-out walk.
That's one of those situations where he was not going to give in to Finley. You're at the bottom of the order, and you know he's aware that Finley hit the 34 home runs and can hit the ball out of the ballpark. So you don't exactly walk him. You don't exactly pitch around him. You try to get him to chase something out of the zone. He did not. So now you say, okay, I'll get Andy Fox out. Fox less of a home run threat, of course, than Finley.
Third walk given up by Reed, who has struck out only 1. His last outing against the Pirates, he went the distance and fanned 12 while walking nobody. A strike to Fox. As we said, Reed bats third in the bottom of the 6th, but Valentine's got to be concerned, assuming that Piazza is not available to pinch hit. He has only 3 bench players left. His best pinch hitter, Matt Franco, the switch hitter, Bobby Bonilla, and Melvin Mora. Foul back 0-2.
And you have to realize that Mora is the guy that he would use off the bench for base running speed. Bobby Bonilla is the guy that you want if you have to go for it for the long ball. Matt Franco is his line drive base hit kind of guy. So you have to decide which one you want to give up if you use one this early in the ball game.
0-2 to Fox, who's 0 for 2 on the night. Finley a short lead at first. And Fox cuts and misses. Just the second strikeout for Reed, but it closes out the top of the 6th.
There comes a point.
2 balls and a strike to Pratt.
And you see that Holmes is trying to get him out with his breaking ball, and as I said earlier, that's his best pitch. That's his out pitch.
Holmes is one of the growing number of relievers who works out of the stretch in all situations, even with the bases empty. And here it comes. He falls behind, 3-1. Called by Rich Reeker, the plate umpire. By the way, none of the 25 new umpires who were brought up in the wake of the accepted resignation of a large group of umps, none of the new hires are working any of the postseason games. Just off the outside edge, and Pratt has a leadoff walk.
You're a shortstop that your job is to play defense, and this is the leadoff hitter in the 6th inning. If he gets a base hit, they've got something going. He just retired, and it happens so often, and that's why this Mets infield is called by some the greatest infield ever in the history of the game. We talked to Bobby Valentine about that. He says he doesn't agree. He said he thinks they're great, but to say the history of the game, he said he wouldn't do that. But Sports Illustrated, a few other places, they've been called the greatest, and
Ordonez looking to bunt, pushes it up the first base line. Durazo has it, tags Ordonez. On to second is Pratt, and off the bench is Bobby Bonilla to bat for Rick Reed.
Well, he likes to use Bobby Bonilla from the left side because he's a much better hitter from the left side in these types of situations. Bobby's always told me he was stronger from the right. But he's getting a nice ovation here, which is great for Bobby. It has been it hasn't been all peaches and cream here in the city for Bobby the last year and a half.
Friction between him and his manager earlier in the year, although they say they patched it up. He got only 119 at-bats this year and hit just 160 with 4 homers.
From the left side, he's really a low ball hitter. I mean, that is what he does best. He's just a good low ball hitter.
Ball one outside. A 6-time All-Star. Batting for Rick Reed, who leaves after throwing 6 innings of 4-hit ball and allowing 2 runs. 2-0.
And you can see that Holmes is making an effort to keep the ball up on him. Remember, he throws a sinker, and he was throwing all sinking fastballs before, but he also knows that Bonilla is such a good low ball hitter that it doesn't matter if he gets the sinker down, even if he gets it out over the plate. He's pitching to Bonilla's strength, and he's not overpowering, so he's trying to stay away from that area.
Holmes' 2-0 pitch is in there. In addition to making the All-Star team 6 times, as the veteran left-hander Dan Plesac gets up in the Arizona pen, Bobby Bonilla has driven home 100 runs 4 times in his career. But now at age 36, and with injuries taking their toll, his career may be in its waning days. The 2-1, 3-1.
I don't think he's pitching around Bonilla to get to Ricky Henderson, but he just wants to stay out of that low zone with Bonilla, and most of these pitches have been up. 3-1. We'll see if he just wants to throw a strike or he tries to stay upstairs again.
Bonilla sitting on a 3-1 pitch and pops it foul. It's out of play.
Pretty good pitch there for Bonilla to handle. This is a fastball. It's not up. It's not down where he wants it, but at least it's not a high fastball as Holmes was trying to throw earlier. That's about a belt high fastball, a little below. Well, he knows that he missed the pitch that he may be the only pitch he's going to get to hit, because you're also in a situation now where Holmes, his best pitch is his curveball, so he may come with his curveball instead of another low pitch.
Crowded second, 1 out, and the 3-2 pitch to Bonilla. Just low, ball 4.
Well, he did come with the curveball. Well, watch how he tries to pitch Bonilla. He doesn't want to throw a fastball down. So he first pitch, high fastball, ball 1. Second pitch, high fastball, ball 2. That one's still up around the waist. Ball 3 again. Now he has to give in a little bit, but he gets it away. Now he comes with a 3-2 curveball and just barely misses. And when he fouled that pitch back, that's why Bonilla was upset, because he fouled that pitch back. He thought he might not get another pitch to hit. And I think Bobby Valentine was saying, that's a little close to take there, big fella.
Henderson 1 for 3. An infield hit his last time up. Called strike 1.
Now you see him go back downstairs because that's his best pitch, the sinking fastball. But he was trying to make sure he got it upstairs, stay away from Bobby Bonilla's strength.
Pratt at second. Bonilla at first. Not a whole lot of speed on the bases for the Mets. A ball and a strike. If this game stays close, and if it goes deep into the game or into extra innings, Bobby Valentine is going to have his hands tied a little bit. He has very little left on his bench. The 1-1 pitch. Inside 2-1.
Okay, you're Darren Holmes, and now you're at a situation, you see the only 2 guys left on the bench because you were not sure. I don't think Piazza can hit. We were told he wouldn't be able to pinch hit, but you never know.
It could get to the point where you use a guy like Oral Hershiser as a pinch hitter. That's been done before. Lasorda used to do it in L.A. The 2-1 pitch. A little bloop, back to first base, digging hard, coming on in right, but unable to get to it, and now it's fumbled by Womack across the foul line as Pratt scores, and Henderson dives in at second. Bonilla to third on the play, 4-2 New York.
The Mets get lucky here. He jams Ricky Henderson. He hits this little flare down the line, but Neal goes halfway. Pratt was running all the way. He knew that the ball was going to drop in. He didn't even slow up. The ball's fumbled by Womack, and you see Bobby, they know right away it is. He says, come on, Todd. But Todd is already running. Todd did a good job of base running there.
And now with first base open, they'll put Alfonso on.
Are they scoring that a single?
Yeah, a single and an error on Womack in right field. That's the third Arizona error. Credit Henderson with an RBI. And the Mets lead 4-2. The intentional pass is the 6th walk the Mets have received tonight.
Just, you know, a little luck on the part of the Mets. The ball was hit off his fist, jammed, and it dropped down in front of Womack, and then he battles and he loses it, and the ball goes in the foul territory, and everybody moves up an extra base. I think we're going to have a double switch here, Bob. I saw him talking to one of the outfit. They're going to make a change here.
Plesac's going to come in and pitch to Olerud, and we'll sort out the double switch when we come back. Showalter double switches. Hanley Frias in at shortstop. Andy Fox out. Frias in the 9th spot in the order, which means he'll bat second in the 7th. Plesac in the 7th spot, vacated by Andy Fox, who made the last out in the top half of the 6th. Bases loaded, 1 out. Olerud the hitter. And a strike from Plesac, who at age 37 is in his 14th Major League season. Once one of the game's premier closers, saved 33 with the Brewers in 1989.
Showalter said he's been doing a good job of getting that one left-hand route that he's needed him to get out, so this is that situation. He said he's been able to get good left-handed hitters out. There's a difference between just being a guy coming out of the bullpen to get a left-hand route. The good hitters will make adjustments, so it's tougher, obviously, to get them out than it would be just a normal hitter.
Bonilla at third, Henderson at second, Alfonso at first, Olerud at the plate with 1 out, and a run already home. A bouncing ball toward the hole and through. Bonilla scores. Henderson waves to the plate. Womack's throw up the line and not in time. 6-2 New York.
The hitter wins this battle. He gets a sinker, but it's in the middle of the plate, and he grounds it to the right side. Remember, your second baseman, Bell, is playing towards second base for the double play, so he has a long way to go, and he can't get there. Womack comes up and fires toward the plate. He had a shot at Ricky Henderson, as you can see, but Ricky scores, and the Mets are rolling.
It brings up Cedeno, who's 0 for 1 since taking over in right field for Agbayani. A strike to him, a switch hitter who hit .334 lefty and .194 righty.
There's Mike Piazza sitting there on the bench.
Fouled off 0-2. If they could win tonight in Piazza's absence, couple that with winning Game 1, the game Randy Johnson started for the Diamondbacks, the Mets would have to feel pretty good about the first 3 games of this series.
Well, at this point, Bobby, every move now that Bobby Valentine has made is paying off because now he's got a lead and he's got the center fielder and he wants with speed. He's got Cedeno in right field. So the defense is there now that he's got the lead.
And the 0-2 pitch is lined to left center. Another base hit. Alfonso will score. Olerud on his way to third. Big turn by Cedeno, who settles for an RBI single, and it's 7-2 Mets.
Was a little low cutter. Cedeno goes down and gets it and lines it over shortstop. Just a little cut fastball, and he lines it into left center field.
Here's Ventura, 0 for 2 with a walk. Cedeno chased back. Mets trying to take a 2-1 lead in the series. Atlanta has already done that by winning in 12 innings at Houston. Both these clubs probably rooting for the Astros to come back. The Braves have owned the Mets. The Diamondbacks would have home field against Houston, not against Atlanta.
Well, if you're a Met, you've got to be pulling and hoping for the Astros because they've been destroyed by the Atlanta Braves. And I don't see it getting much easier if they have to play the Braves again. But Houston is only down 2 games to 1.
Ventura pops one wide of first. Bell and Durazo over, no play. Baseball tomorrow. You'll need the remote in hand, switching between ESPN and the Deuce. Diamondbacks and Mets, Braves and Astros. Fox at 4 Eastern time from Fenway with the Indians and Red Sox. Cleveland looking to sweep it. And we'll be in Arlington, Game 3, Yankees and Rangers. Roger Clemens to the mound to try to complete a New York sweep. A ball and a strike to Ventura. Robin came over from the White Sox to play a fine third base and bat .301 with 32 homers this year for New York. Rolled foul, 1-2.
When the season started, the Mets felt, at the end of last season, I should say, the Mets felt they needed a couple of things to be contenders. One was a leadoff hitter. They went out and got Ricky Henderson. The other was some more power from the left side, and they went out and brought in Robin Ventura. So those 2 moves alone made them a much, much better ball club, made them a contender.
Darrell Hamilton waiting on deck. Plesac remains concerned with Cedeno. Olerud is the runner at third. Cedeno at first. He stole 66, second in the league, to Womack's 72. He's going, and there'll be no throw.
Well, it appeared that Kelly Stinnett did not know he was going. Now he gets a jump. Now watch the catcher. The catcher, we'll get a chance to see the catcher maybe, but the catcher doesn't appear to know he's going. So he stays down in his crouch. See, now he realizes he's running. So someone did not alert him quick enough.
Fouled off 2-2. Well, trailing 7-2.
You don't have a choice. You have to bring the infield in.
Gotta bring them in.
And most managers do not like to play the infield in when you have runners at second and third because of a little bloop here or there. You cut down on your range, you give up 2 runs.
Full count. Hamilton awaiting his turn. Hit hard, picked up by Bell, looks the runners back, and retires Ventura.
Well, the Mets were not going on contact there. A lot of times when you have runners at second and third, you go on contact, and even if they get the runner at the plate, the runner at second moves up. And that was probably because Olerud not a fast runner at third base. They didn't figure they had a chance to score him.
Hamilton is the 9th man to bat in the inning. And he lines one right through the box, and 2 more runs will score. Olerud to the plate, Cedeno behind him. A 6-run inning, 9-2 New York.
Big hit the last time Reed pitched. I mean, he had a double inside the bag at third base in the big game on Sunday. I'm sorry, not the game that Reed pitched, but on Sunday. There you see that it's either a cut fastball or a little slider. It's not breaking big, so it looks like a cut fastball to me. Hamilton lines it right back through the middle for a base hit.
The D-backs are going to the bullpen. The dam has burst on them, and they trail by 7.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent.
Bobby Chenard out of the bullpen. Pratt bats for the 2nd time in the inning and whacks one in the direction of Durazo with 1 pitch. Chenard puts an end to the carnage, but not before 6 runs come home, and New York is sitting pretty, 9-2.
NBC America West.
Offering you the most far-reaching sport utilities on earth. Ford outfit.
Of our old colleague Bob Uecker, because wasn't that the theme song for the Charlie Sheen character in Major League?
Yes.
Whose pitches were just a bit outside. Ueck, if you're watching, we miss you.
We do.
The Mets take a 9-2 lead to the 7th.
Bobby, this could be, you know, the year of the Mets, as they say, because half an inning ago we were concerned about the fact he only had 2 players left on the bench, Mora and Matt Franco, and now it's a moot point. I mean, he was about to run out of players, and now he has a 9-2 lead, and he has his best defense on the field at this time.
Yeah, we were anticipating a late-inning chess match, and now we're looking at a laugher. But Wendell comes in, and the furthest thing from his mind is to start Stinnett out 3-0. That one's in there. Hanley Frias, who's in the 9th spot in the order, is on deck. Full count to Stinnett. Wendell working quickly, misses inside, and a leadoff walk.
The shortstop, Hanley Frias.
Something out of the 70s, favored by Turk Wendell.
You mean the necklace he's wearing there?
Yes.
Okay.
Frias, a switch hitter, with 273 this year. He's from the Dominican Republic. many players from the Caribbean signed at a very tender age. The Texas Rangers signed him when he was just 16. He gives one a ride to right, but Cedeno gets back there. One out as Stinnett returns to first.
The right fielder, Tony Womack.
Turk Wendell.
Remind you a little bit of Al Raboski. Remember Al from the Cardinal days?
Mad Hungarian?
Yeah.
Used to psych himself up by turning his back to the plate, muttering something to himself, and then slamming the ball from his left hand into the gloved right hand before stomping back up to the rubber. Cardinal fans loved it. Opponents hated it. Womack whistles one foul.
Bob, I'm looking at the part of his necklace that's still hanging out. Looks like two shark's teeth right there. Look at that right there. Look at them, just two of them hanging there.
What are we to make of such things?
Well, we all have our good luck charms, I guess.
Wasn't Wendell the guy who, when he was with the Cubs, used to brush his teeth between innings? A liner by Womack. Cedeno backs up a few steps and takes it. I mean, I'm all for good hygiene, but brushing your teeth several times during a ball game seems excessive.
Bob, I have to tell you, that may be a little more information that we need to know, or the fans need to know out there.
Well, you know, when the score is 9-2, this is when you dig deep into your treasure trove of info.
Well, he's putting on quite a show out there. I mean, he's getting our attention.
Now imagine yourself in the Arizona dugout. You're in a foul humor to begin with. A 3-2 game suddenly blows up to 9-2, and now you're watching this act. And strike the bell. Olerud playing behind Stinnett, as you might expect, at first base. Breaking ball fouled back, and Wendell gets ahead of Bell, 0-2. Jay is flied out all 3 times up.
And we mentioned earlier, this is the strength, one of the strengths of this Mets ball club is their bullpen. I mean, they've got Franco out there. They still have Benitez. I mean, they've got a good bullpen.
A little tap. Wendell goes tumbling. Alfonso picks it up and takes care of Jay Bell. Wendell in for half an inning, skips across the foul line, as is his custom, and already he's got his uniform dirty.
There comes a point when one more word.
NBC's coverage of tonight's division series is brought to you by 10-10-220. Dial it and talk up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher, helping you play longer and stronger when it counts the most. Gatorade, is it in you? By Microsoft, where do you want to go today? And by Zantac 75, for tough heartburn, doctors know.
In the bottom of the 7th, Ray Ordonez starts it off, and a treat awaits us. Turk Wendell is on deck. Let's see what he can do with the lumber. He's making sure he's loose. Ordonez has singled, reached on an error, and sacrificed. Ordonez took a look down at Cookie Rojas, but what is there to say or to signal except pick out one you like and whack it? 2-2. Chenard still on the mound in a much less crucial situation than the one in which he found himself in the 9th inning of Game 1 when Edgardo Alfonso touched him for the grand slam that won the game for New York. Fastball foul back. Chenard is from Manila in the Philippines. In his 3rd year in the majors. He's been with the A's, the Brewers, and now the D-backs. He was 5-2 this year. His ERA was 2.68. He jams Ordonez. DeRozzo over for a look, and it's just a row in. On the verge of taking a 2-1 lead in the series, and they have Al Leiter ready for tomorrow.
That was interesting. We talked to both managers about their rotation the rest of the way, and a lot of people felt that they would want to save Leiter for Game 5 if there was one to match against Randy Johnson, but they've decided that if it does go 5, Yoshi would be the 5th game starter, so they're keeping it right in rotation.
Valentine told us prior to the game that he would go with Masato Yoshi against Johnson if there is a 5th game in Arizona. Ordonez with a little pop toward Jay Bell. Well, Turk Wendell advances to the plate, and we go to Jim Gray.
Bob, you guys were talking about Turk Wendell's necklace. Well, it's comprised of animal teeth and claws. He's got a bear claw, a lion and a cat claw and teeth, a shark tooth, a crab claw. He's a great outdoorsman and a hunter, and he likes to string them together and wear them. And Bob, happy to report, no human teeth.
And certainly not his own. He's not losing any of those choppers with the very diligent brushing regimen he follows.
I'm trying to figure out why I recognize shark teeth on there when I didn't know that they were animal teeth.
Well, you know, the shark shows them pearly white.
Oh, okay.
Wendell's appearance is brief. He has 2 hits, by the way, in his career in 33 at-bats. Down on strikes in a hurry. But you gotta like Wendell.
Yeah.
He's 2 for 33 lifetime, but look at him. He expects to get a hit. What's wrong with you? Up steps Ricky Henderson. 2 for 4 on the night. Wendell being pulled off by Sean Dunston. Snap out of it. But in Wendell's case, you're asking him to snap out of a decades-long fog.
Well, they're teasing because he was upset because he didn't get a base hit.
Slow roller, tough play. Williams bare hands. Henderson beats it.
He didn't expect Ricky Henderson to bunt with a 7-run lead. He's playing back deep, and this is just too tough a play. See how deep he is and how far he has to go? Really no chance to get Ricky Henderson on a play like that. And this is Ricky, and Ricky can smell a base hit. He lets it all go. He didn't even look. And then he throttles it down a little bit with his hands.
So Ricky has his 3rd single of the night. Alfonso has flied out, doubled, and walked twice. And back to Jim Gray we go.
Well, Bob, Sean Dunston walked up with that cup of water and threw it in his face. He said, hey, just like you're saying, wake up. This isn't batting practice. They're not going to let you hit that. Pay attention up there.
This is just in case they have to use Wendell as a pinch hitter somewhere further along in the playoffs.
I must tell you, everyday players do get upset when pitchers get base hits that they think they deserve, or when pitchers do come back to the bench upset because they did not get a base hit.
A ball and a strike to Alfonso. Well, Dunston now is in a mood where he can clown around. He's breathing a lot easier. It was his misplay of a drive to center by Kelly Stinnett that set the stage for the 2-run pinch hit homer by Turner Ward. A 3-0 game became 3-2. That was in the 5th. But the Mets broke through for 6 in the 6th. And they're cruising at 9-2 looking to take a 2-1 lead in the series and then hand the ball to Al Leiter, who in his last outing won the wild card playoff game with a complete game shutout at Cincinnati on Monday.
You know, I saw a great story in the paper the other day about Sean Dunston.
A little bloop toward the middle of the diamond. Back goes Jay Bell from second base to take it. And the story about Dunston and his dad will wait until the top half of the eighth.
Monday, the string of murders no one cared about.
We have reason to believe Tracy's attacker was targeting prostitutes.
Is going to end once and for all.
We're looking for the man that did this.
Nameless victims they refuse to forget.
We're going to get him off the street and you will never hear from him again.
Law and Order Special Victims Unit, NBC Monday.
The Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes doing double duty in New York during the playoffs. In the Bronx for Yankees Rangers earlier in the week, and tonight at Shea for the Mets and Diamondbacks. Well, Turk Wendell's stint, both on the mound and at the plate, was brief but entertaining. He's now been replaced by John Franco, who waited a long time to see baseball's postseason. Second all-time in career saves behind Lee Smith, but of course the save stat wasn't officially kept until, I guess 20-25 years ago. Maybe I'm slightly off on that, but it wasn't kept at the beginning of Hoyt Wilhelm's career and guys like that, so it's only a point of reference in the modern era.
And it was tougher to get a save in those days than it is now.
Gonzalez, Williams, and Durazo in the Arizona 8th. That one's in there, 2-1. This year, Franco was 0-2. His ERA was 2.88. He started the year as the closer. Then after he was hurt, Armando Benitez came on and took that role away from him. Before he relinquished it, he had 19 saves. Is a slow bouncer toward the charging Alfonso, who underhands to Olerud for the out.
Bob, you know, the fact that they played tonight, they looks like they're going to win without Mike Piazza, and it's an early game tomorrow. Don't be surprised if they don't give him one more day off, and hope that, you know, they can win without him again tomorrow, because it's a left-hander, Brian Anderson. And if they do not win, at least they will have, hopefully, in their mind, a healthy Mike Piazza for the final game, you know, on Sunday.
A miracle rally by the Diamondbacks here tonight. Lots of pressure on Brian Anderson, who was 8-2 this year, young left-hander who pitched in the World Series and pitched well in 1997 for the Cleveland Indians. He was the first pick for Arizona in the expansion draft last year. He's going to have to get them back even and send the series to Arizona for Game 5 so they can put the ball in the hands of Randy Johnson again.
But since it's such a short turnaround and he wasn't able to play tonight, I don't know how he's going to be able to play in about 12 hours from now.
Bouncing ball, Alfonso smothers it but can't find it. There's no play. And Williams is aboard with an infield hit.
And Williams is going to be very upset if he would have made that play. He was robbed of a base hit by Ordonez his last time up. And this looks like Alfonso is going to get him right here, because if he comes up with it cleanly, he's going to have him because the ball's hit so hard. He makes a dive, but he doesn't catch it. He knocks it down, and he doesn't know exactly where it is. So Matt Williams gets the base hit.
Gives Matt a 2-for-4 night, a pair of singles. Rubio Durazo is 0-for-2 with a walk. Franco's first one to the rookie is on the corner. Must be very strange for John Franco, 5-time All-Star, 3-time Fireman of the Year, to find himself in the game in a situation like this, a 9-2 lead in the 8th.
And to be happy about it. He's happy.
Double play ball. 1-2. To the bottom of the 8th in Queens, 9-2 Mets.
5 things
To work the bottom of the 8th, Arizona calls on the veteran left-hander Greg Swindell, now a reliever, for most of his career a starter, won 18 games for the Indians back in 1988. When he came out of the University of Texas, he was a highly acclaimed prospect, taken #1 in the draft by the Indians in 1986. He had followed Roger Clemens at the University of Texas, and as a Fort Worth product, they were talking about him in the same way they had talked about the Texans who had preceded him, as a left-handed version of Clemens or Ryan. He's had a long career, but not quite that good. 2-0 to Olerud. Into the seats foul, 2 balls and a strike. Octavio Dotel and Oral Hershiser, who will not start in this series and is available, obviously, in relief. And a strike. Now, Hershiser was the starter in the regular season finale against the Pirates on Sunday. So it's possible that Valentine just wants to get him a little bit of work and might call on him in the 9th. Olerud draws a walk. Tomorrow night on the Olympic show, Dan Hicks sits down for an interview with 2-time Olympic figure skater and gold medalist Scott Hamilton. Hamilton talks about his success on the ice and the adversity he's faced, from childhood illness to his recent battle with cancer. The Olympic show tomorrow night on CNBC. Check your local listings for the time in your area. Roger Cedeno taking strike 1. Greg Swindell was 4-0 this year. His ERA 2.51. His 0-1 pitch. Swindell had to get away from his catcher's Dennett, who recovered the ball and threw Olerud out at second base.
Well, good play here by Dennett. He pounces on this ball very quickly, comes up and fires to second base and throws a strike, and Olerud out by quite a bit there, a couple of strides.
So he's retired 2-4. Cedeno's 1 for 2 since replacing Agbayani. Had an RBI single in the midst of the 6-run New York 6th his last time up. Agbayani started in right field and replaced Mike Piazza in the cleanup spot, and he gave way to Cedeno, who slices this one foul. Full count to the Met right fielder. 1 out, nobody on. Bottom of the 8th. 9-2 New York. And he walks it. While we have a chance, this play of the game is brought to you by Merrill Lynch. Succeed on your own terms with Merrill Lynch Unlimited Advantage.
And it just seems like Ordonez makes a play like that every day.
Robbing Matt Williams back in the 6th. Ventura pops it up in the middle of the diamond. Frias calls for it for the second out.
Center fielder, Darrell Hamilton.
So Swindell walked the first 2 men he faced. Got a break when Olerud was thrown out trying to advance on what could have been a wild pitch. Now Ventura pops out, and Darrell Hamilton, who was lined to center and singled 2 runs home, stands in. strike. In the ninth, it'll be Steve Finley, a pinch hitter, and Kelly Stinnett. But the D-backs are down by 7. If it's any consolation for Arizona fans, they had the best record in the major leagues against left-handed starters this year, 32-16.
That's surprising because they don't do a lot of changes. Bernard Gilkey usually gets in there as a right-hander.
Hamilton pops one back of third. Frias back from shortstop near the line to make the catch. Well, unless they rally here in the ninth, they'll have to win against the left-hander Leiter tomorrow.
Closets, Kirstie Alley, and Oscar De La Hoya sets the record straight. Then on Conan, Rob Reiner, Sheryl Crow, and Conan would like to apologize. All new tonight.
2 out of 3 of our children.
NBC's coverage of tonight's Division Series is brought to you by MasterCard. MasterCard, proud sponsor of Major League Baseball and fan of the great American pastime. By Chevrolet, Chevy, we'll be there. By KFC, home of the new tender roast sandwich. At KFC, we do chicken right, in the bucket and now on the bun. And by E-Trade, it's time for E-Trade.
Hershiser's first pitch of the ninth is a strike to Steve Finley. For Hershiser, this is his first relief appearance in 10 years, since 1989. Melvin Mora has replaced Ricky Henderson in left. Finley whacks one to center, and Hamilton is right there. We mentioned this earlier, Joe. Some Arizona fans are going to say if you're down 2-1 and you have to win, why not use Randy Johnson on 3 days rest?
Well, he didn't just overpower the Mets on Tuesday, and he would be working on short rest if he goes tomorrow. And so it's a matter of whether you think that if I win tomorrow, then what happens the next day. But you're thinking in your own mind, if I can sneak out a win tomorrow and I got Randy Johnson on Sunday, I have a much better chance of winning this series. And it's not so much about winning one game, it's about winning the war, as they say. We got to win the series.
Lenny Harris, who is the active career pinch hit leader with 115 pinch base knocks, comes off the bench. Brian Anderson, who is scheduled to be the starter tomorrow for Arizona, was 1-0 against the Mets this year with an ERA of under 2. Al Leiter, who will pitch for New York, 0-1 against Arizona. In a stint of 6 1/3 against the D-backs, he allowed 5 earned runs.
So if you're Arizona, you actually have to like that matchup.
And as I mentioned, Arizona has done well this year, best in the majors against lefties, 32-16, plus throw in the victory in Game 2 against Met left-hander Kenny Rogers. So they're hoping that behind Anderson they can get even tomorrow, and then they would feel that the advantage would be theirs going home for Game 5 Sunday, and with Randy Johnson on the mound, despite the fact that Johnson has now lost 6 consecutive postseason decisions. Dating back to 1995, in foul ground Ventura retires Lenny Harris. And tonight's Chevrolet Player of the Game will be Rick Reed, the winning pitcher. 6 strong innings. Gave up the 2-run pinch hit homer to Turner Ward, but he'll be the winner tonight.
And we also might add that John Olerud had a couple of votes. Because he drove in 3 of the Mets' runs in this ball game.
Tomorrow will come very quickly for both these clubs.
And us as well.
Less than 14 hours from now, they'll throw the first pitch of Game 4. 1-2 to Stinnett. Orel Hershiser hasn't been used often in relief, but a memorable appearance came during the '88 LCS in this ballpark. In an extra inning Game 4, Lasorda used him out of the pen. That's fouled off. In the midst of his great Cy Young season with all the consecutive scoreless innings, the game went extra innings. after Mike Scioscia hit a ninth-inning homer off Dwight Gooden when it looked like the Mets would go up 3-1 in the series, and he had to go to Hershiser, who gave him a strong relief stint. The Dodgers won the game in extra innings, won Game 5 the next day, and then eventually, behind Hershiser, won the series in 7. Then Hershiser came back to beat Oakland twice in the World Series. Two and two. Bobby Valentine just told Jim Gray he is not optimistic about Mike Piazza's chances of playing tomorrow, but they'll have a little bit of breathing room because they'll take a 2-1 lead into Game 4. Hershiser works a 1-2-3-9. The final, the Mets 9 and the Diamondbacks 2. Coming up next after your late local news, it's The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Tonight, Jay welcomes the star of Veronica's Closet, Kirstie Alley, and boxer Oscar De La Hoya. Joe Morgan and I will see you tomorrow night from Arlington, Texas with Game 3 of the Yankees and the Rangers. For Joe and Jim Gray, I'm Bob Costas. So long from Shea Stadium, where the Mets have taken a 2-1 lead over the Diamondbacks in the National League Division Series.
The New York Yankees.
I'll look at Shea Stadium, the capacity crowd beginning to file out as we welcome you to the Jeep Mets postgame show. And we are with you immediately following every Met and Yankee postseason game, all the highlights and interviews from the media room and from the locker room. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, and we are delighted to be joined by one of the Mets' premier players of all time, certainly no stranger to postseason competition. That is Keith Hernandez, who just saw the Mets knock off the Arizona Diamondbacks by the score of 9-2 to take a 2-1 lead in this best-of-5 series. And once again, a strong performance by Rick Reed.
Rick Reed, 2 springs ago, I coached in the minor leagues and did some work in the big league camp. And he was a replacement player, and he was the most impressive pitcher I saw in spring. He wasn't afraid to throw his fastball, wasn't afraid to throw it in tough situations. And he has just been, to me, he is the Mets bulldog. I have nothing but praises for him.
And he was a guy who was not immediately accepted by his teammates because, as you mentioned, he was a replacement player.
Correct. An unfortunate situation, but still, I just think that, let bygones be bygones. He has been an integral part of this Met ball club.
And now a intriguing decision for Arizona manager Buck Showalter. Does he go with Brian Anderson, who was 8-2 with that high ERA, 4.57, a guy who got a lot of support during the season, a guy who got an opportunity because Todd Stottlemyre was rehabbing? Or do you go back with Randy Johnson on 3 days rest in a must-win situation? How do you play it?
Well, it's a tough call. It's 3 days rest, and he threw 138 pitches in the Game 1. So he wasn't out there and threw 90 pitches. So, there's an old saying, when you're in playoff time, you've got all winter to rest. If they lose one more ball game, it's sayonara. So it's a tough choice. If I was a manager, gosh, I don't know. I mean, it's just indicative that you have a championship team, a team that won over 100 games, and they don't have pitching depth. I mean, you have to go and pitch a starter on a 3 days rest. I would go with him.
Yeah, indicative of what's going on in baseball because of expansion.
Correct. There's just not enough pitching going around. It's the team that won 100 ball games.
But then if you go with Randy Johnson tomorrow afternoon, that means, and if he does win, you go back to Arizona, Game 5, and then here's the pressure on Brian Anderson.
Understand that, too, but you're also got a home crowd at least. I mean, the Mets are in a catbird seat right now. They've won the they're up a game in the series. They got their ace going, Leiter, who pitched a big ball game to get him there. So things are looking the Mets' way right now.
All right, the Mets with the 9-2 victory, as you saw the game concluding moments ago. We'll take a look at some of the highlights from tonight. First of all, the big news early, Mike Piazza sitting out, not in the starting lineup, hurting with that bruised left thumb. So Todd Pratt was in the lineup. third inning, the Mets jumping in front. John Olerud had a big night. Soft line drive to left. Alfonso coming home, testing the arm of Luis Gonzalez, and makes it home safely. Olerud advancing to second on the throw. Mets up 2-0. Two batters later, Robin Ventura with the ground ball to first. Arizona gets the force at second, but the relay by Andy Fox high and far. Omar Dahl slow to cover, and it costs. Dahl frustrated as the Mets take a 3-0 lead. To the fifth, pinch hitter Turner Ward facing Rick Reed, and he sends one high and far over the wall. 2-run home run. Arizona right back in it, now down 3-2. But the Mets blow it open in the sixth. They score 6 times. Ricky Henderson with the bloop to right, and it drops in front of Tony Womack, who then bobbles the ball. Pratt would come in and score. Bobby Valentine and company up by the count of 4-2. Two batters later, John Olerud adding to that lead. Here is Olerud, base hit right field through the hole. Bobby Bonilla lumbering home. Ricky Henderson also comes around. The Mets put 6 on the board in the sixth. They bat around. Buck Showalter now in a must-win scenario as the Mets take game 3. A look at the line score. Mets 9-11-0. The Diamondbacks 2 runs, 5 hits, 3 errors. Reed wins it. Dahl loses. Olerud 2 hits, 3 RBIs. Ricky Henderson had an RBI and a run scored, and some shaky defense, I would have to say. We were watching the game together, and I know how important it is for you to see good defense, and you were going wild watching the close to wild.
Well, Dahl evidently is not a very good fielding pitcher, and we got caught with with Piazza out of the game. Bobby Valentine was forced to have Shannon Dunston in center field. And the ball will always find somebody. He misjudged a line drive before the 2-run home run by Turner Ward. Defense is the name of the game. It's actually, if you look at the Met team, the infield is so tight there defensively, and their outfield, we all know, is a liability defensively. And with Piazza out of there, I mean, I guess he had to go. He had Albayani batting fourth, and had to play Dunston because the other 2 outfielders are more or less leadoff hitters or role players, kind of the setup guys in an inning. So Bobby had to change things around. You can't second-guess him for leaving Dunston in the game. It was just the 5th inning. I think if it had been the 6th inning, Dunston would have been out. He would have made the defensive replacements.
Right, he brought the defensive guys in later on. All right, we'll take a break, and we'll return with Keith Hernandez, the one-time New York Mets star, joining us here on the set for the Jeep Mets post-game show. Bobby Valentine and his Mets leading the Arizona Diamondbacks now 2-1 on the best of 5. We'll be
25 free rentals.
This vintage footage. Keith Hernandez in action and goes opposite field to the hole. Here comes Mookie Wilson around.
I remember that.
No.
I do.
I wouldn't doubt it, though.
That was the year we had I won that game. It was the bottom of the 9th. I remember. That was either 87 or 85.
What was the count on the pitch?
I think it was the first pitch. I like to get out of there. It was daily. Looking for a fastball, went and got it.
And it should be mentioned that Keith will be throwing out the first ball tomorrow prior to the Mets in Arizona in game number 4. I know you're warmed up and you're ready to roll. Huh?
I haven't thrown a ball in 3 years. Hopefully they're going to get Gary Carter to come up from Palm Beach, too. So hopefully Gary will be there.
All right, Keith, looking at tonight's game, the Mets did it with the heart of the batting order. 2, 3, and 4 on fire. And that was really the difference tonight as you take a look, combination of Alfonso, Olerud, and Agbayani. 5 for 9, 3 RBIs, 5-run score. And look at Arizona.
Well, 2 for 11 you can see there with no runs, no production virtually. Now, Alfonso and Olerud have been basically the guys that have been consistent all year for this team. I mean, Ventura had the great year, but he kind of in the end kind of faltered a little bit. But those 2 guys, Olerud and Alfonso, just carried this team all year. They've been the most consistent.
Now, the crowd at Shea was pumped, and of course you have been through this. What does it do to the Mets who return home after the split in Arizona, or a club like the Diamondbacks, who, not that the Mets have had that much postseason experience, some guys have, but for the Diamondbacks, it's like, hey, I can't believe we're here. This is our 3rd year of existence. But what's the effect? Will they be tight in a situation like that?
Well, hopefully they're not going to be tight. I always believed, I've been in 2 World Series, but we all went 7, and it's very critical to have a home field advantage, have games 6 and 7 at home. The home field advantage is critical, and Northeast fans, whether they're Philadelphia, Boston, New York, they're just rabid, and they are a 10th man out there. Whereas opposed when you go and play in Los Angeles, It's more laid back. Yes. I know I've never played in Arizona, so I don't know how the fans are in Arizona. They're laid back?
All sports,
okay,
yes.
So this is a whole different breed of cat out here, fan in Yankee Stadium and Shea Stadium. And it is an advantage. And when the pressure gets going and a pitcher's out there, he's all alone. And he's got a bases-loaded situation. He's got the ball in his hand. He stands there all alone with all those 50-some-odd thousand people screaming and yelling. That can be a tough situation.
We mentioned Mike Piazza sitting out tonight. Todd Pratt was the starting catcher. NBC, before signing off, had the report that Jim Gray talked with Bobby Valentine, and he said that Piazza question mark for tomorrow. Now, Piazza, more than any other Met, may be feeling the effects of the long season. Looks to be a bit exhausted, as we saw the first couple of games, and he's bothered by the injured thumb. You think he's feeling pressure, though, in the fact that prior to this year, he had been in only a couple of games in the playoffs with the Dodgers, only 2 for 9, struck out 4 times. Does that get into his head at all?
Well, you know, I think you'd have to ask Mike. I would say if anybody that I know he's a catcher, and catchers really take the most damage during the course of a season. They got to squat, they got to call games, they also got to hit. But you know, this is playoff time. This is what you're here for. I just can't believe that players would get tired. So I don't think Mike's tired. I mean, if you can't get up for a ball game in a playoff situation, then there's something wrong with you.
How do you explain there are certain guys, Randy Johnson, a brilliant pitcher, obviously, had some success in the postseason early on in his career, but has struggled in recent years. Does that begin to get into his head?
Now, that can be a problem. He's 0-6 in playoff lifetime with an ERA over 4, which is not Randy Johnson. Now, that can be kind of a whammy on him. You know, that can prey on you because now, hey, I want to get my first win. And now here I am 0-6, and he's pitching the first game against the Mets, and they beat him. That can have an effect. That definitely. Until he gets that first win under his belt, you know, it might be a hard road to go.
And it'll be interesting to see what Buck Showalter does, how he handles the pitching rotation. We're told that Buck is at the podium talking to the media, and I'm sure that question will come up. Let's listen in.
Yeah, he's going to pitch tomorrow. Certainly there's been thoughts about every possible scenario, including that, but B.A. is our starting pitcher tomorrow. And if we're fortunate enough to win tomorrow, Randy will pitch in Game 5 back in Phoenix.
Another question for Buck? Was this just a bad day defensively?
Well, that was one of the things that was made it tough for us. They're a good enough club without giving them some extra outs. Especially anytime at the major league level you give extra outs, you're going to usually pay the price. But you know, we had it from some people who have had great, very stellar defensive seasons. Omar's one of the better fielding pitchers in baseball, and Tony's had a great year in right field, and Foxy's done a good job there. I don't know. I'm not sure. You guys tell me better. If he would have been out on a double play, I couldn't really tell from my angle and whether Omar had gotten there in time. But it's a tough play. But no, it certainly wasn't characteristic of the way that we played this year defensively.
But what about the contributions that Ricky has given them and the difference between their leadoff guy getting on and yours not?
What about the contributions Ricky Henderson has made for their team and the difference between their leadoff guy getting on and yours not?
Well, obviously, I'm very, very proud of our leadoff man. He's, you know, we keep talking about a lot of things and keep coming back to reasons why we're here. Tony's hit the ball 3 or 4 times in this 3 games so far out on the button and had nothing to show for it. Ricky's had some things work out his way. I think the flare snort that he hit to right field was a big hit, and Sack came in, made a great pitch to Olerud and rolled it over for the double play, but yet he found a place and snuck it through. They seemed like 7 or 8 base hits into some pretty fortunate areas, but that's the way the game goes.
Well, were you surprised by the amount of offense they scored without Piazza in the lineup?
Were you surprised about the amount of offense they scored without Piazza in the lineup?
Not really, not the way they scored it. You know, I believe they hit a couple balls hard during the night, and we had some guys who were credited with base home balls during the course of the night that normally doesn't happen with Omar out there. I thought Omar's command and Holmes's command was as good as I've seen it all year this year, tonight.
Barry?
Buck, back to Ricky, are you surprised that at 40 he's continued to be such an incredible offensive spark for them?
Back to Ricky, are you surprised that at age 40 he's continued to be such an offensive spark for them?
Well, we can change the subject anytime with him. He's a great player. I guess it is surprising to some extent because compared to other people who are 40. I know I couldn't have done it 10 years ago. Well, never could do it, obviously, but he's a great player. He's been doing it for a long time. I remember Don Mattingly telling me in Port Charlotte, my first year in the big leagues, I was asking about some players and saying Ricky's the best player in the game, so don't let him kid you about all these other guys. And he's very quietly taking great care of himself, and he continues to make contributions. And I know that he's been a real thorn for us, as we hope Tony can be for them tomorrow.
All right, Buck Showalter confirming that it will be Brian Anderson. It will not be Randy Johnson on 3 days rest. So if there is a fifth game back in Phoenix, Randy Johnson will get the call. Brian Anderson, 8-2 in the regular season, had that high ERA and a lot of pressure on Anderson.
Well, pressure is what you put on yourself, and there's always a positive way to look at it. If you're Mr. Anderson, it's your manager is showing the confidence in you, and that's one way to look at it. Take a positive approach. He's been 8-2 for. He's won 8 ball games, no matter what his ERA is and how many runs they've scored. He's 8-2, and that's a doggone good record.
He has received a lot of support. He's been in some high-scoring ball games. The guy's been around. He's pitched earlier in his career with the Indians and the Angels. What about Omar Dahl? He said he's a good fielding pitcher.
Well, if anybody's watching that game out there, the way he fielded those 2 balls that were the bunt and the swinging bunt, it was just it's not the way it's done. And the ground ball back up at the middle. So maybe it's just we're talking earlier. He's nerves. He's first time he's pitched in a playoff game at Shea Stadium. You find might have been a little bit tight.
And Buck being very supportive.
Yes, of course. Manager has to be.
All right, a 9-2 victory for the Mets over Arizona. We're going to check in with the Met broadcast crew out at Shea. Matt Loughlin is alongside Howie Rose and Fran Healy. Let's go to Shea.
Marv, the fans here at Shea Stadium were treated to their first playoff game in 11 seasons, and the Mets did not disappoint them, hitting on all cylinders, and now they take a 2-1 lead in this best-of-5 series. So all the pressure on the Arizona Diamondbacks, who must win 2 straight to advance. Fran Healy, a couple of offensive stars. First, let's talk about John Olerud, who struggled down the stretch, but has picked it up here in the division series.
And, Matty, as you know, very important. Mike Piazza missing a ball game tonight. Really negative news for the Mets, but John Olerud once again stepped up and in a big way, was swinging a hot bat, driving in runs and getting hits, and they can't win without Piazza unless a guy like Olerud picks up the slack.
And we talked about it following the game on Wednesday night. Ricky Henderson's motor's running, and he did it again tonight.
Yeah, we were talking about keeping the engine running, and his engine is really running. He had 3 hits in tonight's ball game, and it just changes the complexion of the game. If you're a catcher or a pitcher and he gets on base, even if he doesn't steal, in the back of your mind there's a possibility, so you start to call a ball game because he's on base. You're calling more fastballs, allowing the hitters to get better pitches to hit.
All right, now Howie Rose, people will talk about big hits, but it was little ball that helped the Mets to the win tonight.
Yeah, and I think a lot of little things about this game, Matty, that may not stand out right away, especially in a 9-2 game. Tony Womack, you're talking about Ricky Henderson, their leadoff guy, Tony Womack, who led the league in stolen bases, he's only got 1 for 13 the first 3 games. They've kept him off base. Omar Dahl, after the double play in the second inning, he's ahead of Pratt 0-2, but he loses him. He walks him. Ordonez gets a base hit. That gets the Mets rolling offensively. Obviously, the Diamondbacks kick the ball around all night. And look, a little bit tight, I think, playing in front of the Shea Stadium crowd. Another thing to remember, should it go as far as a 5th game, Oral Hershiser getting an inning, what looks like a meaningless inning tonight in the top of the 9th inning, may come back in the Mets' favor if he's needed long, not so much tomorrow, but certainly if there's a Game 5 on Sunday.
And Rick Reed, so strong in his last regular season outing, came through with another good performance tonight. Combine that with the offense, and as I mentioned earlier, the Mets hit on all cylinders.
Again, 6 solid innings from Reed. He wasn't overworked. If it gets down to a 5th game, and certainly the Mets hope they could end this thing tomorrow, they're going to have a lot of people fresh and ready to go and playing well.
All right, Marv, we'll have plenty of reports from the clubhouse as the Mets take this 2-1 advantage. But for now, we'll send it back to you at the sports desk.
All right, thank you, Matt. And Keith, they were talking about the efficiency of Rick Reed, and you touched on it earlier. Very, very solid performance tonight.
He's got good stuff, good control, good command of all of his pitches. But like I said, he pitches aggressive. He's not afraid to throw his fastball, and he throws inside the hitters. It's just critical for a pitcher to establish inside on hitters, and he throws inside.
What is impressive, 105 pitches thrown in the 6th inning. How about that? 69 to strikes.
He throws strikes. He's got great command, and he knows what he's doing, and I liked him from the day I saw him 2 years ago.
All right, moments ago, Matt Loughlin talked with Rick Reed. Let's pick it up.
Rick Reed picks up the win. 6 innings of work, 4 hits. Rick, this is kind of a pressure game in many ways. Either you take a 2-games-to-1 lead or you're down 2-games-to-1. How did you feel out there on the mound?
Well, I felt pretty strong. You know, I wanted to come in yesterday and play a little catch, do some running, but I took the whole day off. And I started the game stronger than I would have liked, but well, I'm just glad it worked out.
When you say stronger than you would like, what do you mean?
Well, I wasn't hitting my spots like I did against Pittsburgh the other night, and I struggled with my breaking ball, but when I had to make a pitch, I made it and got out of one jam there with the runners at first and third with 2 outs, and that was big. But well, I wish I could have taken back that curveball to Turner Ward.
Well, of course, that was the big blow. The only 2 runs scored in the game by the Diamondbacks, that pinch hit home run. You were able to keep Tony Womack. In fact, his staff in the 3 games has kept Womack off base. What's the key there?
Well, I think we're making good pitches to him. I know early in the season we weren't making very good pitches, and he was getting on base and causing all kinds of havoc on the bases. And you know, if we can keep him off base, that's just one less thing we have to worry about. That's one tough lineup over there that you have to worry about anyway. But if we can keep him off base and keep him from stealing, and I think we'll be okay.
All right, Rick, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Matt Loughlin talking with Rick Reed, who did the job, picked up the win tonight for the Mets. Keith, there was a story on the wires regarding Mike Piazza, who sat out tonight's game and is a question mark for tomorrow. Apparently, he was given a cortisone shot for that injured thumb, and it backfired. The thumb became swollen and stiff as a board, it says here, leaving him unable to grip his bat or squeeze his catcher's mitt. Does not sound good for tomorrow.
Well, one injury you don't want to have is to your hands or your wrist, and cortisone shots are great anti-inflammatories, and they're kind of a last-ditch effort if you want to get someone out there to play. But if he can't play the rest of the series, hopefully with the win tonight, maybe they can rest him tomorrow. They win, and he'll be ready for the championship playoff series. Let's not get that far ahead yet. Let's win tomorrow.
Right, the Braves.
To start time.
I will help.
Joe Morgan Berman. This is News Channel 4 at 11.
The Mets gave the hometown fans exactly what they wanted tonight, a big win at Shea. Good evening. Another round goes to the Mets.
What better place to be than the ballpark where your team has just taken another leap on the road to the World Series? The Mets rattled the Diamondbacks, winning Game 3, 9-2. Let's go to Len Berman now, who's at Shea Stadium. Len?
All right, thank you, Chuck. They are singing "We Will Rock You" as the Mets have defeated the Diamondbacks 9-2 to lead at 2-1. Let me show you a couple of highlights, and then we'll bring you one of the heroes of the game, who's John Olerud. A big crowd, over 56,000, the largest crowd at Shea since the '69 World Series. Mike Piazza out with his bad thumb. Rick Reed pitching for the Mets tonight. Pinch hitter Turner Ward, a 2-run shot, cut it to 3-2 Mets in the 5th, but that's all Reed allowed in 6 innings of work. It was a big Mets 6th inning. Bases loaded for John Olerud against reliever Dan Plesac. A 2-run single. He had 3 RBIs, a 6-run 6th. They win it 9-2. They can wrap up the Diamondbacks tomorrow with Al Leiter on the mound. John Olerud, tremendous atmosphere. Soak it in. How do you feel?
It's a great feeling to come here and get a win in front of the hometown fans.
3 RBIs. Did you personally and as a team feel that you had to step it up with Mike Piazza out?
Well, you know, anytime you lose a guy like Mike Piazza, it definitely hurts the offense. But we got a lot of guys on this club that can swing the bats well, and we just needed to go out and have a good game.
Do you have a feeling he might play tomorrow or not?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, he's awfully tough. You know, if he can play, I know he'll be in there.
The ground ball to DeRozzo at first. The throw to Fox for 1. But the pitcher, Dahl, is late covering Fox's throw. Wrong side by Dahl. Olerud scores 3-0. Now 4-2 Mets. Bottom of the 6th, bases loaded, 1 out. And Olerud, a base hit. 36-year-old Bonilla scores. 40-year-old Ricky scores 6-2 after Cedeno singles in the fun. Darrell Hamilton with a base hit. Olerud and Cedeno score 9-2. Turn your sets off there. Rick Reed, the winner, 6 innings, 4 hits, and Hershiser pitched tonight. The hitless Texas Rangers, losing 8 straight playoff games to the Yankees, have scored only 2 runs in the last 51 playoff innings against Yankee pitching. For tomorrow's Game 3, Roger Clemens against Esteban Loaiza.
To be here is, it's kind of what these guys expect and what you expect wearing the pinstripes.
Nice. There it is, infield in on his knees, gets up, whirls, the throw to the plate, and in time for the force on Kamenecki. That made it 2 outs. Now, and then the pitch to Gutierrez from Rocker, strike 3. So Rocker came in with a bases loaded, no outs, and got him. The Astros didn't score. Top of the 12th, 2-on, 2-out, first base open. Brian Jordan, who earlier hit a 3-run homer, doubles by Bagwell. Nixon and Boone scores. The Braves win it 5-3. So now the Mets, Yanks, Cleveland, and the Braves are only 1 game away from the championship series. At the Garden tonight, the Rangers beat Carolina.
Come on, these are the important fights. This is when it counts, okay? You got ESPN2 here. Now it's important if you want to do something in this game, all right?
All Morgan
Berman. This is News Channel 4 at 11.
The Mets gave the hometown fans exactly what they wanted tonight, a big win at Shea. Good evening. Another round goes to the Mets.
What better place to be than the ballpark where your team has just taken another leap on the road to the World Series? The Mets rattled the Diamondbacks, winning Game 3, 9-2. Let's go to Len Berman now, who's at Shea Stadium. Len?
All right, thank you, Chuck. They are singing "We Will Rock You" as the Mets have defeated the Diamondbacks 9-2 to lead it 2-1. Let me show you a couple of highlights, and then we'll bring you one of the heroes of the game, who's John Olerud. A big crowd, over 56,000, the largest crowd at Shea since the '69 World Series. Mike Piazza out with his bad thumb. Rick Reed pitching for the Mets tonight. Pinch hitter Turner Ward, a 2-run shot, cut it to 3-2 Mets in the 5th, but that's all Reed allowed in 6 innings of work. It was a big Mets 6th inning. Bases loaded for John Olerud against reliever Dan Plesac. A 2-run single. He had 3 RBIs, a 6-run 6th. They win it 9-2. They can wrap up the Diamondbacks tomorrow with Al Leiter on the mound. John Olerud, tremendous atmosphere. Soak it in. How do you feel?
Oh, it's a great feeling to come here and get a win in front of the hometown fans.
3 RBIs. Did you personally and as a team feel that you had to step it up with Mike Piazza out?
Well, anytime you lose a guy like Mike Piazza, it definitely hurts the offense. But we got a lot of guys on this club that can swing the bats well, and we just need to go out and have a good game.
Do you have a feeling he might play tomorrow or not?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, he's awfully tough. If he can play, I know he'll be in there.
The ground ball to Durazo at first. The throw to Fox for 1. But the pitcher, Dahl, is late covering Fox's throw. Wrong side by Dahl. Olerud scores 3-0. Now 4-2 Mets. Bottom of the 6th base is loaded, 1 out. And Olerud, a base hit. 36-year-old Bonilla scores. 40-year-old Ricky scores 6-2 after Cedeno singles in the fun. Darrell Hamilton with a base hit. Olerud and Cedeno score 9-2. Turn your sets off there. Rick Reed, the winner, 6 innings, 4 hits, and Hershiser pitched the 9th. The hitless Texas Rangers, losing 8 straight playoff games to the Yankees, have scored only 2 runs in the last 51 playoff innings against Yankee pitching. For tomorrow's Game 3, Roger Clemens against Esteban Loaiza.
To be here is, it's kind of what these guys expect and what you expect wearing the pinstripes.
Nice. There it is, infield in on his knees, gets up, whirls, the throw to the plate, and in time for the force on Kamenecki. That made it 2 outs. Now, and then the pitch to Gutierrez from Rocker, strike 3. So Rocker came in with a bases loaded, no outs, and got him. The Astros didn't score. Top of the 12th, 2-on, 2-out, first base open. Brian Jordan, who earlier hit a 3-run homer, doubles by Bagwell. Nixon and Boone scores. The Braves win it 5-3. So now the Mets, Yanks, Cleveland, and the Braves are only 1 game away from the championship series. At the Garden tonight, the Rangers beat Carolina.
Come on, these are the important fights. This is when it counts, okay? You got ESPN2 here. Now it's important if you want to do something in this game, all right?